Yo, Beth, that shit crazy.
On a Saturday, it's All Even with your boy Barry Grant. You can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at All Even Podcast. You can listen to the show on Podbeam as well as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. I'm all over the place, man. And trust me, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment because the page is growing, baby. That All Even wave. Get on that wave. I don't have to keep telling you. Lots to get into. The basketball gods have balanced the playing field. Things are right with the basketball world. We're going to get into that. Also, Phone a Friend is back with Tom Greer. That's going to be a great conversation. And then the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week. So let's just jump right into it. The basketball gods have leveled the playing field once again. They have spoken. They spoke loudly, and I am excited. Hell, I've been throwing a party since Wednesday. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason for the party. It's the fact that the Clippers are no longer around. Chris Paul has exorcised that demon. 41 points in Staples. Sent him back to the basement. It was beautiful. And the story about Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns, the journey that they've embarked on has been phenomenal. And Chris Paul, shouts to Chris Paul for not giving up on himself, although he's in quote-unquote an advanced stage in his career. He always knew that he can give more. He can be able to produce and still be a viable option at point guard for his team. And when his team needed him, he stepped up big. Hell, the Clippers cut it to 7 at one point, and Chris Paul said, "Not tonight. I got y'all. Not tonight." So, love the fact that Phoenix is in the NBA Finals. Love the fact that the Clippers are home. You know that. Anybody that listens to this show understands that. Back to the basement. Oh, man. So where do the Clippers go from here? We all know where Phoenix is going. But where do the Clippers go from here? Do the Clippers decide that they are going to, look to resign Kawhi Leonard? Are they going to look to move somebody to try to see if they can be able to get more pieces? Yeah, those are all questions that they have to answer. Does Kawhi Leonard want to stay here? Because there's a rumor going around that Kawhi wanted to play and the training staff did not allow him to play, and he's not happy with the training staff and blah, 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 blah. Isn't this a broken record? Didn't we hear the same thing in San Antonio? Oh, he didn't trust the staff. Doesn't trust the organization now. Now he has to leave. Like, you went to the Clippers in bubble wrap. They then said, okay, we are going to take you in this bubble wrap, and we're going to keep you there until you're ready to come out. So they've been doing exactly what Kawhi wanted in regards to protecting him, keeping him in bubble wrap, protecting his knees or whatever it is. And the minute that he's, I'm good, you expect them to just say, okay, no, they're going to do their jobs. So it's just very, very odd if this is the case. I'm not saying that it's true. I said there's a report, rumors are circling that this may be the case. And if this is the case, that's weak on Kawhi's part because the Clippers have bent over backwards and then some to appease that guy. So if he decides that the excuse that he's going to use is, the training staff, that's why I want to leave, weak. Now, if he wants to test free agency and see what his market is like and see what other teams want his services, then fine, do that. But I don't want any excuses to be used. In regards to the rest of the roster. Hell, I'm interested to see what happens. Like I said, the party continues. Reggie Jackson, he's good as gone. Somebody's going to give him a lot of money. Who else you got? Zubats, is he worth it? You got Marcus Morris making a ton of money. You got Luke Kennard making a ton of money. Is Rondo going to be back? No, I don't see that. Rondo had a lot of DNPs in that conference final. So where do they go? Is Paul George now their guy? Is Waldo George their guy now that he had a pretty decent playoff? And, you know, people are saying, oh, his name is definitely Playoff P now. Nah, I'm not doing that. One playoff run is not going to solidify you in my book. It's not the way it works. You got to do this over and over again until it's actually normal for your numbers to look that way. People are like, man, he's doing his thing. Nobody's shocked. People were shocked because you go the other way. Paul George normally goes the other way. So, a lot of question marks for the Clippers going forward. But that loss was fitting. Chris Paul, the ex-Clipper, who actually resurrected this dead franchise, turns them into Lob City. They're the most exciting thing in basketball. They end up not winning much in the playoffs. Didn't get to a conference final, didn't get into a final. Chris Paul was labeled the scapegoat as to why things didn't work out in Los Angeles. Washed up. People, he goes to Houston and nobody cares. But he's showing you right now that he's still big time. Showed you right there in your own building that he can be able to send you home. Send you to bed. Send you back to the basement with the dehumidifiers and the space heaters. Showed you. So that's the mark of a real legit champ. So shouts to Chris Paul. Shouts to the Phoenix Suns. And shouts to the Clippers too. The fact that you guys, got to a conference final. You're not going to be able to hang that banner and say that we got to a conference final instead of trying to cover up real banners that you see in Staples. So, hey, hang it. Hang it. Be proud of being the runners-up for the Western Conference crown. Be happy. Because you possibly won't get back here for a while, if ever. So I'm enjoying it. Hell, like I said, I've been partying since Saturday. Now, I want to go ahead and dive back into this. Where does Chris Paul rank historically as a point guard? Is he top 5? No, he's not. Is he outside of the top 5? Absolutely. Is he top 10? 100%. But people got to stop. All right? Chris Paul is great. And just because I said that he's not in my top 5 doesn't mean that Chris Paul is not a great player. Moving on. Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. They're playing right now, and the Bucks are up 97-78. Bucks look like they're going to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. There's 10 minutes to go in the game. Giannis is not playing again, but man, did they get a game out of Chris Middleton. 31 minutes, 28 points. Phenomenal. Drew Holiday has been phenomenal the last 2 games as well. Bobby Portis has played well. Brook Lopez, another solid game. They've gotten great minutes out of Jeff Teague tonight, 11 points in 12 minutes. Pat Connaughton stepped up 10 points. So they're getting a lot of production for guys that, weren't giving them production throughout the entirety of the series. So looks like the Bucks are going to the finals. It's 100-82 right now with 8:46 left. Shouts to the Hawks, man. They got this far. They really proved a lot of people wrong. They fought hard. Who knows if Trae Young doesn't get hurt, that maybe this is a series that possibly is flipped or go 7, whatever. But, John Collins, 6 points, 8 rebounds, struggling tonight. Bogdanovich is having a decent game, 17 points on 6 of 11 shooting. Kevin Huerter, 5 points. Like I said, everybody's struggling. Cam Reddish is having a good game, 5 for 8, 15 points. But Trae Young, kudos to him to be able to play this game on a bum ankle, 27 minutes, 3 of 12 shooting, 8 points. So it looks like one of my predictions are going to go through. Bucks get to the finals. They were my regular season pick for the NBA Finals. They get to the finals. This is a great time for basketball. You got the Phoenix Suns. You got the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. It's going to be good, man. It's going to be a really, really good series. Shouts to Giannis. Shouts to Chris Middleton. Shouts to Drew Holiday. Shouts to the bunch. They've really proved their worth here. The last 2 years before this, they were the best team in the East, and all the pressure was on them. And I said from day one, if there's going to be a year that the Bucks get to the finals, it's this year, because everybody's focused on Philly. Everybody's focused on Brooklyn. They can just be able to fix what they got to fix, fly under the radar, and do what they got to do in the playoffs. And they did just that. So, I'm really excited for the Bucks. Either team wins the NBA Finals to me. It really doesn't matter. I'm not rooting against anybody. So I'm looking for a good series. If it's a short series, okay. If it's a long series, okay. I just like the fact that we have two teams that have not been to an NBA Final in a very, very long time. Coming up after the break, Phone a Friend with Grindhouse Radio's own Tom Greer. On a Saturday. It's all even.
Yo, it's your man DJ G Money from that Flip the Script podcast. You see it? We in the studio right now. Flip, shut up. Yeah. Oh, listen. Shout out to the All Even podcast. My man Barry Grant Jr. What's up, man? What happened? What you want to say to the people?
Shout out somebody else's podcast?
Yeah, my nigga the joint. What's up?
All Even.
All Even podcast.
Yo, it ain't even up here, boy. We put this what's up, man? All Even. Yo, oh my God. What's up with you, man? Now that's a shout out. You keeping this?
Yeah, keep all that. You want to jump
All
in the
Even
camera?
podcast, right?
Yeah, All
Shout
Even.
out to All Even podcast, right? All Even? That's your man?
My man.
All right, shout out to All Even podcast.
100%. He cool. Is he cool? Let me see. Is he cool?
Yeah. What is it, G? Oh. Shout out, G. Oh.
Cool, man.
Welcome back, y'all. So now let's get to my favorite segment, Phone a Friend.
Call him up, 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 call him up. Competing for a reason, trying to stay undefeated, yeah. Call him up, 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 call him up. This game of the season, don't lie, we're all leaving, yeah.
Who we have on the show today is a very, very well-known guest around Long Island. He's the co-host of an award-winning show called the Grindhouse Radio. Welcome to the show, my man, Tom Greer.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you very much for having me. Very much appreciate you. You let me be here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Big fan of you guys' show. It's really good, really funny.
Thank you.
So I definitely want to just give you, the floor to kind of get your social media stuff out there and kind of introduce yourself to the crowd.
Oh, well, yeah, no, so it's I'm Tom Greer. It's Mr. Greer, mostly on the Grindhouse Radio.
Yes, sir.
You can all my social medias are at It's Mr. Greer. I've pretty much kept it simple. I've been able to get that handle down for the most part. But yeah, no, that's it. It's at It's Mr. Greer. The Grindhouse Radio is we're kind of like just basically like a pop culture, current events, celebrity interview based show. We kind of just sit down and BS for 2 hours about, what our daily, weekly happenings are, some of the pop culture news, current event news topics, and then mostly wrap it up with a new celebrity guest interview every week, which is pretty fun. It's pretty cool because I came from, I don't know if you know them, but I was a really big Opie and Anthony fan when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know them. Yep.
Yeah, I was a huge fan. I used to listen to them in the car with my mom all the time. And what I loved about them is they were a show where it wasn't your typical morning show. It wasn't your typical radio show. It was literally just they would sit down and it would be like a group of people just sitting down, hanging out, just having a conversation. And I loved that because it didn't have that rigid radio style. It was very free flowing and just let people be themselves. And I feel like that's what we've been doing with the Grindhouse Radio.
Definitely.
Me and my other co-host, Kim, we do a Disney podcast, which is called The Magic Kim Tom. That goes out every Monday. And I do another show on the Earplug Podcast Network, which is a sports show called Today with DW, the Sports Edition, where me, my other co-host Herb, and Hank Pelton, we just talk mostly sports every Tuesday from, I think it's 6:30 to 8 or 6:30 to 7:30. Depends on how much we have to talk about that day.
Right.
I'm always trying to think of new podcasting ideas or new content ideas. That's all all day, every day is all I'm thinking about is new types of shows or things that we can wind up doing.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, listen, you're a very busy man, and when you love what you do, it never feels like work. That's the way I look at it. So, let's kind of start from, the origin story, like, where you're from and how did you, at what age did you actually like develop this love for, sports and everything else?
Well, I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm live out in West Babylon. So where my love for sports, it's a love-hate, I'd have to tell you, because I like to say my sports fandom started around like 5, because
okay.
I feel like when you live in New York, for the most part, you just get like sports is just shoved right in your face, because you get the Mets, Yankees, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Islanders. But I grew up from the jump. I was a Mets fan and I was a Giants fan. In fact, my dad told me that if I grew up a Jets fan or a Yankees fan, he was going to make me live in the treehouse that he built for us outside. I was like, that seems cool, but I like indoor plumbing and I like electricity. So
right.
You know what? I'll stay a Mets fan and a Giants fan.
And maybe, just maybe, he wasn't kidding.
No, exactly. He may not have been kidding, but and then funny enough, my dad's a Ranger fan. He doesn't really watch a lot of hockey, but my uncles had season tickets to the Islanders for years, and he used to take me all the time. So I just fell in love with the Islanders, and it's been real trying, I'd have to say, because growing up a Mets fan and an Islanders fan, I really don't know much success. Like
right.
The Islanders have been good for the past like 3 years. The Mets are the Mets, and the only team that I have that's given me any semblance of success is the Giants.
Right.
So my sports fandom started pretty early, and I have to say that it affects me a lot more than it should. I am one of those people that, like, if my team loses, it ruins my day. Giants games, if they lose on Sunday, it used to, it's gotten better, but it used to just ruin my week. Like, it would just be like, this is brutal.
Well, listen, that's something that me and you have in common, because, I'm a Mets fan.
Mm-hmm.
I am an Islanders fan.
Hell yeah.
Grew up I didn't support any of the local basketball teams because I grew up a Lakers fan. My mom was a Laker fan from jump. She told me, listen, it's either Magic Johnson or nothing in this household. So, okay. I never had an affinity for Jordan or anything like that, but, grew up loving all these other teams. Like I said, you said it best in regards to like the Mets and the Islanders. Like, we're natural sufferers. We don't know success. We don't know what it feels like. And, just a couple of days ago, I don't even know how long it was, the Game 7 loss. Tom, that was one of the most brutal losses I've ever had to experience. Like, I'd rather get blown out by 8-0, but to lose 1-0 on a short-handed goal, on the road to the best team in hockey, that hurts.
Well, no, what hurts even more is the fact that the I don't know if you've been catching up. I don't know. I haven't been watching a lot of the finals just because of how upset I was about that Game 7 loss, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like that Tampa is just going to mop up the Canadians.
Yeah, they're the best team. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's like the Islanders Tampa series was basically the Stanley Cup Finals, because
the last 2 years.
Yeah, if the Islanders would have beat Tampa, I have no doubt in my mind that they would have taken Montreal to the cleaners.
Yes.
Like they would have just stomped them out.
And that's what hurts even more.
Yeah. But you see this, I was actually having this conversation with a friend of mine recently. So like, typically I'm like, you're like I said, whenever you bring up the fact that you're a Mets fan or an Islanders fan, mostly Mets fans, I always like to say long suffering. Like I'm a long suffering Mets
sufferers.
fan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can see the pain in the eyes when people say that they're Mets fans.
Oh, I got so many scars. But what I like to tell people is like, usually when one of my teams, like the Mets, even the Giants, if one of my teams gets that close and they don't win it, I assume, okay, well, I guess that's it for a while. Like we're going to go into the tank and it's going to be bad for a few more years before we get back. The Islanders actually are the first team I can remember that I have no doubt in my mind that they'll be back. Like I have no doubt in my mind that within the next year or the year after, like they're going to be back. Like this is a team that's well constructed. They got good people running the organization. Like they got a good coaching staff, good GM. Like they have an owner that is fully supportive, but he's like, look, I'm just going to hire hockey guys and I'm going to let them do their thing.
Exactly. Just get out of the way.
Yeah. So I like, sure. Yeah. That game 7 loss, that's going to be haunting. I can't, like, I don't know if I'll ever forgive Nick Leddy for letting that shorthanded goal be a thing.
Haunts my dreams.
It's brutal. But I was actually, it was funny. I was out with my girlfriend out in, I don't know if you know Croxley's in Farmingdale. Yeah. I was out there with my girlfriend and I was meeting a bunch of her friends. And this is the first time I was meeting a lot of her friends. And I was like, I just want to let you know, they're probably going to think I'm a lunatic because we're all going to be having a conversation and everything. And I'm going to be glued to the TV watching game 7. Like we picked the wrong time for me to meet a lot of your friends for the first time.
It's just a bad day. I'm sorry. I'm just going to apologize in advance. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't look away. You know what I mean? But
yeah, it's game 7.
I agree with you. The thing is like you said, like the organization, the foundation that they've built over these last 3-4 years, it's very, very sturdy. It's stable. It's the best it's been in more than a decade.
Yeah.
So, it looks good. Plus, we're opening the new arena. And who knows, when you have that new arena money, can anybody say Ovechkin? Free agency?
Well, the only problem I know that right now, I know that they're over the cap, like way over the cap, where they're going to have to dump some salary. I hope, crossing my fingers, that Seattle takes one of these guys that is making a lot of money. And I know that they've been linked to Phil Kessel. Maybe a trade for Phil Kessel might be a thing. And I know that I saw that Vladimir Tarasenko of the Blues, we're on his no trade list. I mean, we're one of the teams that he will be willing to waive the no trade clause for.
That's good.
So that's very good. I'm all about, like, they need, that's the one thing that they've needed. Like the team is very stout defensively. They have good players. Like they've really good, that they need that other scorer on the wing. They don't have that. They haven't had that for the past couple of years. And it's been killing them because they just don't score enough goals. They'll lock teams down. They will keep teams from scoring, but they will not score enough goals themselves. And it's really been killing them.
No, I agree. We go on these long droughts where we don't score, and it's frustrating, man. Like the defense, it puts so much pressure on your defense when you can't score, when you can't get shots on goal, like stuff like that. So, I'm very confident in what they're doing. I have all the confidence in the world in the front office. And I've said over the last few years that the greatest gift that John Tavares gave us was leaving. I have to thank him. Thank you.
Didn't think about it,
because none of this would be possible if you were staying here.
Yeah, you didn't really think about it. At first, I remember when that happened. I think I literally walked up into my room, grabbed my John Tavares jersey, and drove it to the Salvation Army. And it was funny because there was a guy like loading the Salvation Army truck with all the stuff from the bins.
Just take it.
And I just walked up and like, please take this. I don't want this anymore. I'm never gonna wear this again. But yeah, when you think about it, like he did it, like John Tavares, as much of a great player as he was, and as many good memories as you can think that you had with him as an Islanders fan, him leaving was a blessing in disguise because it let the team, I feel like other than Barry Trotz being the best coach the Islanders have ever had since Al Arbor,
absolutely,
it brought the team together. Like it brought a team that everybody just kept saying would live and die by John Tavares. It let the team say, yeah, he's a good player, but we don't need him. Like we're a very good group. We're a stout group, a sound group, and we're going to make this a winner. And the last 3 years, that's all they've done. Since Barry Trotz stepped in the door, all they've been is a sound offensive and defensive minded team that know how to win games. It may not be high scoring, but they know how to win games and they know how to lock teams down.
Right.
And it's been amazing to see.
I agree, man. I agree. You know, they really galvanized around each other in the organization when that happened. Like, you know, that there's not a lot of times where you see a franchise do that. Like normally it goes the other way where the franchise will go down in the tank. But they really said, you know what? We are going to build. We are going to build the right way. If you didn't want to be a part of this, like we have no ill feelings towards them, but we are going to move forward and we are going to prove that we are one of the best teams in hockey. So, you know, I love what they've done and I'm proud of the Islanders. I don't want to keep saying that I'm miserable because the last couple of years have been nice, but man, that game 7, every time I see an Islanders fan on the street, we just kind of give this head nod and it's just like, and then we shake our heads and it's just like, it's all right. You know, if I can hug you, I would hug you, but you know, it's COVID stuff going on. So
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look, it hurts. It really, I get it. It's a real, cause you're just so close. Like you have the cup, like the fight for the cup right there. And you just have it ripped from you. It hurts, but it's just like, I, as much as it hurts, like I do love these feelings because I got the opportunity to be here. Like I wasn't sitting there at the beginning of the playoffs with my team playing golf.
Right.
And didn't have the experience of the journey. Like we're Mets fans. 2015, the end of 2015 sucked. Granted, the 2015 World Series, but it wasn't a whole lot of fun. Beautiful. But the run to get there was probably some of the most fun that I've ever had. And that's why I always say it's better to be a Mets fan and an Islanders fan, or at least a Mets fan, because Ranger fans, you don't come at me because you got one cup since polio was cured. Right. So get out of here.
It kills me. Like, oh, you guys, when have you won a cup? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you won a cup in '94, and then before that, I'm pretty sure World War II was still a thing. So get the hell out of here.
The only thing that they have their hat that to hang their hat on is the fact that they got to a Stanley Cup, but you lost. Who cares?
You lost.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly. But you see, now here's the thing. Now, the reason I say it's better to be a Mets fan than it is to be a Yankees fan, because Yankees fans have to live and die by the championship.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
like Yankees fans, if the Yankees don't win a World Series, it's terrible. Like they don't enjoy anything. Us Met fans, I enjoy any semblance of success I get. We've seen so much garbage in our lives that even sure, a loss in the playoffs is going to hurt. Sure, a loss in the World Series is going to hurt. But at the very least, I'm going to enjoy the whole run. I'm going to be a nervous wreck. I'm going to be losing my mind. My stomach's going to be in knots, but I'm going to enjoy the tension of the run to a championship rather than saying, oh, this season was a failure because we lost in the championship. I mean, we lost in the playoffs.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. You know, that year, 2015, I think I might have been to 80 plus games, including, you know, I went to some World Series games that year. So it was a great experience. Like, you know, I saw one team in the World Series, we lost, but the feeling that the energy that building had that entire year was just, it was special. So
Citi Field's one of the best arenas I've ever been in. Citi Field's one of the best stadiums I've ever set foot in.
Absolutely, man. So, you know, it was amazing, but I definitely agree with you. So let's kind of go a little backwards now. How did you start with Grindhouse? Like, you know, what was that process?
Okay, so it was actually, so like I said, I grew up listening to Opie and Anthony and Elvis Duran in the morning and stuff like that. I grew up listening to a lot of like morning shows or like just talk radio shows. So I always kind of had a love for the sit down and just have a conversation kind of style show and everything. So I went to a school called, it's no longer on Long Island, but it's called the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Oh, we went there too. I did too.
Oh, you went there?
Yeah.
Did you go to the one in Westbury?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's exactly where I went. That's where I went. It was it's probably like 7 or 8 years ago. Okay. It might be even 9 years ago now. Nice. It's probably getting close to that. So I went there for a little while. I finished the program, and then what was funny was I think I took a break because I was literally just pounding their job boards over and over, trying to find new opportunities. I got a PAing job on a movie once. I got in for an interview with WBAB. They said no. So I was like, you know what? I need to do something. I need to at least use my craft that I just learned. So I hit up one of my old classmates that I was in there with. And I was like, hey, do you want to do a sports show? Because the school had an internet radio station at the time. I was like, you want to do a sports show? And he's like, yeah, sure. So we would go in, we do the sports show. We just sit, BS back and forth, put it all together. And then the school, for some reason, whoever ran their internet radio station was not great at it. And our show would never get put up, or they put up old episodes. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here?
Right.
Well, I go, what do you want me to do it? I'll do it for you, because you guys clearly have no idea what you're doing. But then one of our old co-hosts, who's no longer with us, he worked there. He was a guy that, he ran the front desk. He helped with appointments. He was editing GHR. He was editing the Grindhouse Radio. And he was like, hey, do you, me and my partner on the sports show, he's like, hey, do you guys want an internship? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we need some help editing audio clips. We need some help editing like celeb drops, like, hello, my name is insert celebrity name here. Right. You're listening to the Grindhouse Radio. He's like, we need help editing that stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And, we started doing that, editing those clips. And then, we started sitting in on shows, and then it literally morphed. And I think it was a span of like a month or two. They're like, hey, do you want to edit the whole show? And I was like,
yes.
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, you guys have known me for 2 months and you're already putting your entire show in my hands, but I guess so. Yeah, no problem. I'm not going to say no. Because I don't say no to opportunity. Any opportunity I think could benefit me. Never say no. It doesn't matter if I'm not comfortable with it. I will always say yes.
Right.
But so we started editing the show, and then my partner, who was doing the sports show with me, he left to go do some other stuff, to pursue some other things, and I just stuck around. And it morphed into an on-air role, because they would just, I was there all the time, so they just let me have a mic and just talk. And it started with a little sports segment in the show. I have like a 5-minute sports update in the middle of the show. And then it just morphed into me joining the conversation, joining like the banter between everybody.
Nice.
And now it's going on 7. I think we're in our 7th year.
Wow.
I got a full-time on-air role, just a part of the gang, just BSing back and forth. And I gotta say, I've gotten to experience a lot of things that I never thought I would ever get to experience in my life. Like I never thought in a bazillion years that I would get to sign at any Comic-Con, let alone San Diego. That was cool. But yeah, no, man, that's how it started. It literally just started because I had an idea of going to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting and seeing what it could offer me. And I just said yes to one of the first people that gave me an opportunity. And here we are now.
That's what's up, man. I mean, listen, you took advantage of the opportunity that was available to you. And,
yeah.
That's what they taught us at the school. It's like, you work hard, you bust your butt, and it'll pay off eventually. It took me a while to get there to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Like it took me like 8 years, because I was like on and off. I would have things to do and other obligations and certain things. And then 2019 came, and I was like, you know what? This is the year I'm going to do it. This is the year I'm going to do it. Didn't go until it was 2019. And then I graduated October of 2019. Graduated, and then, like you said, you got all the resources and stuff at your disposal, and COVID hit, right? So
yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, school's gone. All the resources are gone. What the hell am I going to do? So I was like, I'm not going to sit down on my couch. So, started my podcast, and, I'm approaching a year, and
congratulations.
Thank you. And it's been great, man. I love the journey. So, just like you on a smaller scale, like, I appreciate the journey and the stuff that I've learned and all that stuff. And you guys are, you're winning awards on the island. Like, it's a really, really amazing what you guys are doing over there. Absolutely.
Hey man, like I said, it didn't all start right away,
Right.
Like this is like a lot of that stuff that we had done, like it came after 3, 4, 5 years doing the show, so like that's all it takes. Like that's what I love about, like, we used to before the pandemic, we used to travel Long Island and just go to different libraries, and we would hold podcasting events. It'd be podcasting 101. So
Nice.
Literally we would have a PowerPoint presentation. We'd get up on stage or get up in front of a classroom full of people at a library, and we would just explain to them all the stuff about podcasting, because, like, I love it because I got told no by so many people within the radio industry. Like,
Right.
I got told no answers.
They love to say no.
Oh, they do.
And they love to not
way,
even answer you.
yeah, the only way you're getting a job in radio in New York is if you know somebody, or you go out of state and come back. And I was
Right.
like, you know what? I really don't necessarily want to do that right now. You know, I don't want to go move to freaking the middle of nowhere in Wyoming to run coffee for some DJ in a radio station. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what I love about podcasting is the fact that sure, there's a lot of podcasts. Making podcasting your business, your breadwinner. It's not easy.
No.
It is not a fun. It is not an easy thing. But the way I looked at it is, if I enjoy doing something, like if I'm enjoying doing this, I get to do whatever I want for the most part. I don't got to worry about program directors telling me what I got to talk about. I don't got to worry necessarily about FCC regulations. I don't have to worry about anything. All I have to do is come in, sit down, put together content that I enjoy doing. And for the most part, if I'm enjoying it, because you probably learned this when you went to CSP.
Oh yeah.
That if you're not smiling behind the mic, the people that are listening can tell.
They'll know.
They'll hear that. Yeah. That was one of the first things Joe Rock told me when we were there. As if you're not enjoying it, they're going to be able to tell.
Right.
And that's what I love about podcasting. It's just such a free form of media that you can literally do whatever you want. And, people will come. Like if you keep doing it, like you may not jump into the thing and have like millions or thousands of listeners right away, but you'll get somebody. Like somebody will find your show and start to listen. Yep. And then all you need is the one. You just need the one or two people to start listening, and then it just spiders from there. You know, I'm not saying that you're going to start a podcast. You're going to be Joe Rogan in a couple of years. No, but I'm going to say you could start a podcast, and you can at least get a fan base together that enjoys what you're doing. And really that's all that matters, is that somebody listens and somebody's enjoying it, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, and also too, I'd love to get your opinion or your take on this. Is burnout real? Have you experienced that? Because I haven't experienced it yet, but I've had a couple of people that have gone through the process of getting that burnout, and then they either return or they don't. So is that something that, you've experienced or you've seen other people go through? And is that something that's in the back of your mind at times?
Oh no, I've definitely experienced being burnt out, it's a part of, I feel like it's just a part of, it's a part of this business, or it's a part of this form of media that we're getting grind. Into, the grind. Cause I do the Grindhouse radio every week. We record it on Mondays, put it out on Thursdays. I do my Disney show. I do my sports show. I forgot to mention, I do another one on Wednesdays from 2 to 2:30 called Truly Inconsequential, where we take two characters from TV or movies and we debate whether or not they're consequential to their stories. And then we debate which one's consequential to the other, so we do that. I definitely get burnt out, because it's just like, when you're doing so many different shows, or you're trying to come up, like literally, like I told you, every day I'm trying to think of another show or another form of content to just create and do, because like I'm never satisfied. Like to be honest with you, I know that I'm okay. I'm good at what I do. I know that I'm good at editing audio. I know I'm good at podcasting and stuff like that. I know our shows, I know that there are fans listening to it. I know that, but I'm never complacent. I personally don't like anything I do. Like I'll listen to everything that I do and I'll hate it. I'll just be like, this is good. I get it's good. I just hate the sound of my own voice. So like, I'm never satisfied. I'm always like, okay, so this was good. What's the next thing I can do? Or what's the next thing I can create to just get people to listen more, or get people to be interested. Yeah. So no, I definitely burnout is a thing. And you just have to weather the storm, get through it. And don't let it, like, if you are feeling burnt out, maybe take a little bit of a step back, take a breather, take a break. Just don't give up. Right. Don't let burning out be the thing that stops you from doing something that you love, because at some point when you give it up, if it's something that you enjoy doing, when you give it up, you're going to regret every second of it.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with you in regards to that. Like, me and you kind of have the similar mindset that, it's just, okay, what's the next thing? Like, okay, I've done this. What's next? Like, I do my show. I do the All Even podcast Tuesdays and Saturdays. Then on Wednesdays, I do a Instagram live. where, you know, I talk about sports. And then Thursdays, we have an interview show where we interview like ex-athletes, media personalities. So, you know, the entire week, man, is just filled up with content. And I'm always thinking about, okay, what's next? Like, what can I be able to do? What else can I be able to do? Like, it's just constant. And I love it. Like, it's not something that is just like, oh my goodness, like, here we go. Like, I gotta wake up and do this, or I gotta do this live at 8:00. Like, no, I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to roll. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's do this, because, you know, it's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always ran my mouth about sports to my friends, to my mom, to anybody who will listen. And they're just like, okay, just put a mic in front of your face and get out of my way. Just get out of my face. You know what I mean? So, you know, the fact that I'm able to do this, it's so rewarding on so many levels, man. Like, if you would have told me a year or two ago that I'd be speaking to, you know, ex-athletes, guys like, you know, Josh Powell from the Lakers, you know, 49er Hall of Famers, I've spoken to so many different people, and I'm like truly grateful for the experience, man. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
You never know where something like this is going to take you. You never know who it's going to connect you with, who it's going to put you in front of.
Yeah.
You know, like I literally, this past Thursday, I got to, I don't know if you were a big, were you big like Invader Zim fan or Angry Beavers fan, cartoon as a kid?
Invader Zim, I used to watch a little bit. I wasn't really like huge into it, but I definitely know of it. You know what I mean?
Well, Richard Horvitz is the voice actor behind Invader Zim.
I watched that interview. Yeah.
He's literally, he's one of the two. I love everybody that we've gotten to interview. They're all really amazing. But the two people that I love more than anything, one that we get to interview, is Richard Horvitz, because he's a voice of my childhood and he's just a really great human being. I never thought I would ever get to speak to him. And probably one of the most uplifting people and inspirational people I have ever gotten the privilege to meet in person and speak to is DMC from Run DMC.
Wow.
He is literally, like, it's just like, I never thought I would ever get to speak to that man.
Right.
Like, I listen to their music all the time. And I remember like the first time he came into the studio, like I'm sitting in my chair and he's like literally within arms reaching me. Like he's literally like the chair next to me. And I'm just like, this is amazing. This is DMC. This is like one of the legends in the rap game.
Right.
And he's literally one of the coolest, most genuine, most like inspirational human beings you will ever meet in your entire life. And it's just one of those things that when you sit back, you're like, wow, man, like a few years ago, I never would have dreamed it. I never would have thought that this would even happen. I never would have thought that I'd be in this position, like doing this, you know, like, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you know, I don't measure my success based on the dollars and cents that I'm bringing in. Yes. Exactly. A lot of money is a thing. Like you need that to survive. You need that to pay your rent, pay your bills. I get that. But, you know, I measure my success on if I'm enjoying doing it, if people enjoy what I'm doing, and the people that I get to meet along the way. And it's amazing the amount of times I've been able to sit back and just be like, wow, I can't believe this just happened. I can't believe I just got done with an interview with one of the greatest, you know, people in entertainment, music, period. It's an unreal it really is an unreal feeling.
Nah, listen, I'm with you, because I felt like that when I interviewed recently Jerry Blevins. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
I used to root for Jerry Blevins on my TV, and he's in front of me and we're speaking about his career, and we're having a back and forth. That was one of my favorite interviews. Like, you know, if you ever have time, like, you know, go on my YouTube channel page and look at all these live exclusive interviews. We got some good ones there. And the most fulfilling or rewarding part of that was the end of it. When he told me, he said, look, man, so you got a good show. Like, you know, I'm not just telling you that, like, you know, you really have a good show. And to hear somebody that was a professional athlete and he's on your show and he's telling you that you're good, that's cool. You know what I mean?
It's good.
Like,
yeah.
Like that's cool. Like, I don't need any money. Like it's just the fact that Jerry Blevins said I was all right. You know what I mean? Like that's cool for me. That's cool.
That's the validation that you need, is the people that you look up to, or the people that you enjoy, that the people that you were amazed that decide to come onto your show, when they go out of their way to just say, hey, this was a great time. This show's amazing. Like, those are the things that that'll always stick with you for the rest of your times doing this. those are the messages that are always going to stick with you. And that's amazing. Jerry Blevins is the man. I freaking
Jerry, he is so funny. So funny, man.
Oh yeah.
He's a great interview. If you ever get him on, like, he's retired now. He has nothing to do. So you can definitely be able to reach out to him and he'll probably say, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely come on." But like, shouts to Jerry Blevins. That's my guy, man. Really, really funny guy. Really inspirational as well. And the other one, like, it was when my mom said that you're good, right? Like, your mother will always tell you, "Oh, I'm always supportive." But she was like, really? I watch ABC Channel 7 all the time, every day. And when you interviewed Ryan Field, I was like, my son interviewed that guy. You know what I mean? It's like, she's like, "Yo, he was talking to my son." Like, that's cool. You know what I mean? So it's like the journey of this, like, it's just amazing. Just like you said, the doors that it opens, the experiences that you've taken from it, that you've had, that you will continue to have. It's just, it's amazing, man. I love every part of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. Like because, like I said, it becomes a little taxing sometimes when you're just trying to think of new stuff to do,
right?
And everything, but it's fun. Like I try not to get, like, I try to just always bring myself, whenever, if I'm ever struggling or like I'm ever burnt out, like we were talking about before. Right. I just remember, look, we're here to have fun. We're here to just sit here and just enjoy yourself while you're doing it. And like I keep saying, as long as you enjoy what you're doing, you enjoy yourself while you're doing it, other people will come. It's like, it's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
If you enjoy what you're doing, people will come.
Yeah. I say that all the time. If you build it, they will come. Like, you just got to wait, man. You just got to be patient. And a lot of people, when they get into this, they don't understand that, they see Joe Rogan, they see the end product, they see Joe Budden podcast, they see all these other big podcasts out there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to do that." But you don't know what it took to get to this point. Like, it took years for them to build that following, to build that brand. Yeah, of course they had a following before that, but could you imagine being a person like myself that's starting from the ground up without a following? It's going to take a while. And if you don't understand that going in, you're in the wrong business.
I mean, like, it helped Joe Rogan a whole bunch that he was a successful stand-up comedian. He did Fear Factor. He was a part of the UFC. Right. So yeah, he had platform. Like podcasting isn't necessarily what got him to where he is. He started the podcast and that blew up because
it still took him a while.
It still took him a while. A lot of people look at Call Her Daddy, the podcast that used to be with Barstool.
She just got 60 mil.
Yeah, 60 million to be a Spotify exclusive. Like, people look at that and then they get discouraged. It's like, don't be discouraged. Like, those people got there because they started. They did something, and then it got them to where they were going to be. I'm not going to say that. I'm never going to tell somebody, "Look, you're going to start a podcast and you're going to be the next $60 million podcast." Right. I'll never tell you that, because that's just a damn lie. Like, that's probably not going to, like, in all honesty, it's probably not going to happen.
Probably not going to happen. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't be successful. That doesn't mean you can't get to interview really awesome people. It doesn't mean you can't make money. Like, it really doesn't mean you can't make money. I'm living proof to tell you that podcasting can make you money. Like, I'm not saying that I'm rolling around in a mansion, or I'm rolling around in nice cars and stuff like that.
Making money, yeah.
But has my podcast allowed me to travel to places that I've never been otherwise? Right. Absolutely. I'd never been to California. Never been on the West Coast once. I was in Vegas for my 21st birthday, way before any of this.
Yeah.
The furthest west I ever traveled. But the Grindhouse Radio, we were successful enough. They invited us to come out to San Diego Comic-Con. That paid for me to go out there. I personally did not pay a dime, you know? So, like, podcasting can be a financial resource for you. But again, you just have to get into podcasting because it's something that you enjoy doing. You just love sitting behind your microphone and BSing for a little while, and the success will come. The people will come.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I enjoy being obnoxious behind this mic because it just makes me, I can be myself. I can just be myself and be obnoxious and say what I want. And people are like, "You're nuts." And I'm saying, thank you. Like, that's a compliment in the podcast world. You called me nuts. I'll take that. That's fine.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Exactly. It's like, you called me nuts. The only reason you think I'm nuts is because you were listening. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Exactly. Now, what movies are you into, Tom? Like
I
what
don't-
type of like genre wise? Like you a comedy guy, you a sci-fi guy, action.
I like most things that aren't horror movies. I don't like horror movies.
Really?
I'm not a huge horror movie guy. I don't like to. I'm one of those people that I don't like to pay to get scared. So like even during Halloween, I don't do haunted houses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't do haunted houses because I'm too afraid that like I'm gonna just jolt and like punch someone in the face because they jumped out at me. But no, so I like comedies. I'm a big fan of anything that Marvel puts out. I have to say, I mentioned I do a Disney podcast. I love, for the most part, anything that is a Disney movie, Disney, Pixar, love all that stuff. But
Did
yeah, no,
Did
I'd
you
say
like
anything
the
but horror.
remakes? Did you like the remakes of the Lion King and all that stuff?
Not really. You see, the problem
Yeah.
with the Lion King, I didn't actually watch the remake of the Lion King yet.
Really?
No, I didn't. Because the problem with me is I saw enough of the clips of it, and I was just like, I heard a lot of the things where it's like, you know, they're obviously not real animals.
Right.
So, but they went after the real animal style.
Yes.
And they said that it's really hard for the animals to convey the same emotions that the cartoon ones did in the original. So you'll lose a little bit of it in translation. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the same warm feel as the original did.
You know what? I can agree with that a bit, but it wasn't even that for me, Tom. It was more the script. It was more
really?
the dialogue and the monologues. It just didn't hit. Like the facials or whatever is fine, but this everything was just different about how they portrayed the characters in the movie. That was the part that I didn't like. You know what I mean? Like Jungle Book was good. The remake,
Yeah.
I like that one. But
Yeah, that was
everything
good.
else was just like
Yeah. My problem is like I don't like when they I know the reason they're rehashing a lot of these movies because, you know, the IPs are up and they
Yes,
gotta
yes,
basically
yes.
keep them and stuff. I get that, but you know, I don't like when like Lion King was gold. It was an amazing movie.
Gold.
So like when you're trying to redo it or trying to do something like different, you're just never gonna capture that same
Right.
magic.
Right.
You know, but the only other remakes that I didn't really have a massive problem with were Beauty and the Beast. I thought Beauty and the Beast was done
good.
pretty well.
Yeah, that was all right.
And I didn't think Aladdin was all that bad, you know, like I thought Aladdin was pretty good. And I thought for making it his own, I thought Will Smith, who was caught the biggest heat for being Genie.
Yeah.
I thought he did pretty well for making it his own. So like, I actually very much liked Aladdin, and, the other ones I'm really not a huge fan of. The other remakes I really wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't watch Aladdin because the thing is with me is that every time I see Will Smith, I just get upset because it's just like one of those things where every time I look at him, I always remember in my head that he said he never wanted to do comic book movies because there was no money in it. And then after a while, now he's in Suicide Squad. All of a sudden, now you want to get into the genre. Like, don't do that. As a nerd, I don't want you in there. So every time I see him, it's just like I always remember. I love Will Smith, but you know, it's just like, I'm enough of him now. Enough. Of him.
I feel you. It's kind of like how Steven Spielberg came out and said that that he doesn't support Netflix movies or doesn't think Netflix movies are real movies. And now he's trying to partner up with Netflix.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. So now that you realize that Netflix, you know, is a viable movie source and makes a whole bunch of money,
right,
and nobody's going to the movie theaters anymore. Now you want to be involved.
You mean that I can get $100 million from Netflix? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. They're great. We'll be able to collab and do something in the future.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I get that.
I mean, I agree with you. You know, Disney, they have all these IPs. They have to, you know, rehash them every once in a while and stuff like that. But have you, out of the Marvel stuff that they've done, because I love the series that they have on Disney Plus. Which is your favorite? Because I haven't watched Loki yet, but everybody's telling me about Loki. It's awesome. I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier, my personal favorite. But which one was your personal favorite?
If right now, I don't know if it's because it's just fresh and I'm just watching it. Loki's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Loki's pretty awesome. But right behind it has to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, just because I loved the two characters. Yes. I was so unbelievably pumped when I realized, well, not realized, but when they were gonna make Captain America, I was like, this is gonna be so freaking amazing because I've seen Falcon's suit in the comic books.
Right.
I was like, that's gonna look sick in real life. I just felt that this guy was going to be awesome as Captain America. And I think he's going to be awesome when he gets his own solo movie, because that's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
But I know Falcon and Winter Soldier, I thought was really cool because I felt like it was a more like down to earth, real life kind of, like, it wasn't super crazy. I know that Bucky's a super soldier and everything like that. And I know they were dealing with super soldiers and everything like that.
It was a real feel.
It had a real feel. Like you had two fringe characters that weren't necessarily the most important in the Marvel universe, but you made them important.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I loved WandaVision just because I love sitcoms.
Yeah.
And when I found out that they were just going to be it was going to be Wanda having a mental breakdown and going through all the different sitcom styles, I was like, this is cool. This is going to be great. Yeah. Like, I hated everybody complaining about it. Like, oh, it's taking forever to build up. I'm like, I love this. I love that we're doing black and white sitcoms.
Slow builds are the best, man. Honestly, like when they did Malcolm in the Middle, I was like, okay, you got me sold. I'm sold. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was sold on that. So yeah, definitely, man. I agree. I think Marvel just does everything right. You know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like, the part that I loved about that series, the part that I loved about the two characters is that they weren't friends.
Yeah.
But their common bond was a guy that wasn't here anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what kept them together. The shield is what bonded them. Their affinity for Steve is what kept them together, is what created this friendship. And now they're going to be able to build on that friendship because of that. And it was so cool about how they kind of like put that together.
Yeah, I loved I absolutely agree with you. I loved, like, I was so excited for this series coming in because I very much, I liked both characters, and I thought it was really good. They were finally gonna push them to the forefront and make them bigger characters within the MCU.
Yeah.
And that's what I love that's why I like Disney Plus, because Marvel has so many characters that they could pull from. And now if they don't feel like the characters are suited for full-length feature films by themselves,
right,
we'll just give them a series on Disney Plus. And you know what? With the people running Marvel for Disney, all they do is hit home runs. It's literally
they can't lose. They can't lose.
Yeah.
Like,
even their worst movie, like even Age of Ultron, which is the one that everybody likes to say isn't their best Avengers movie,
was okay.
It's still good. I still like it.
Exactly. Like, you see, the thing is with Age of Ultron, and I want to know if you agree with me with this, is that you have to watch it more than once. Yeah. Because if you watch it more than once, certain things kind of sink in, and it's like, oh, okay. Like, I kind of missed that the first time. It makes sense now. I understand little things more. So that's a movie that you have to watch more than once to really let things kind of like dial in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's definitely one that you have to watch more than one time just to really get the feel for it.
Yeah.
And look, they've come out with so many movies. They've done it so many times that obviously they're all not going to be home runs. Like, they're all not going to be the most amazing thing to ever hit the movie screen, but they're still good. You know, like
Guardians of the Galaxy too.
Yeah, well, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy too. I thought it was. I definitely didn't like it as much as the first one.
Yeah.
But no, I just like the camaraderie between all those characters. I think it's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, exactly. Like Guardians 2 was not as good as Guardians 1. But it was still, it was still a good movie. It was still a good, you still enjoyed it when you sat down and watched it. So no, man, I'm right with you. I am literally all things Marvel. My only thing is I have Batman and Joker tattooed on my shoulder. Because Batman is my favorite, like one of my favorite superheroes. The Batman and Joker dynamic is my favorite superhero dynamic. But other than that, Marvel through and through.
Tom, you are my man. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're my guy, because my left arm, I have Batman in the inner arm. I have Red Skull and Captain America's. I have a smoking shield.
That's cool.
And then on my forearm, I have Star Wars. So I have whole bunch of TIE fighters. I have the Death Star. I have I have a Palpatine and Vader. So these are my guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love Marvel, but I'm a DC guy. And I'm telling you, when they did the Snyder Cut, I think I've never been locked in to a movie for 4+ hours and just been like this. This is good. like this is good. Like the entire movie was just well done. And it's just like, why is Warner so backwards? Why they just didn't allow Snyder to just do this? Just do this instead of the crap that they put out. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what happened was, I'm pretty sure something happened with his family. Like, I think he had a passing in his family. I don't remember, like, if anybody's listening, you could at me if you want and just roast me if I'm not getting this right. But I'm pretty sure there was something serious that happened within his family and he had to step away from the project. And then that's when the cuts started happening. Yeah. Because he wasn't there to finish it. But I didn't actually watch the Snyder Cut because I've been told that I have to. My only problem is like, I got so jaded about the Justice League. Yes. I when they announced the Justice League, to be honest with you, I did not have high hopes because I'm like, Marvel took 10 years,
right,
to build to the Avengers. Yes. DC was like, okay, Batman versus Superman, Justice League. Like we had two movies and that we had one movie and then bam, it was Justice League. So
and that's the problem with Warner is that you know, like people don't realize that Marvel failed. Like, do you remember the Incredible Hulk with Eric Bana? That was awful. And that was like, okay, this is bad. We need to reset and we really need to like dig up everything, start from scratch, get some good people in here, get some great writers in here. And we need to really take our time with this because we can't afford to mess up again on a colossal, like on a big scale, because if we do, there's not going to be any Marvel universe. So they had to take their time. DC, on the other hand, is like, yeah, we want to be that. Like, no, just take your time. If they would have went at their own pace and just made movies, built up their characters, had good character arcs and all this stuff, then people would be invested. I completely 1,000% agree with you. I'm one of the probably the few out there that loved Dawn of Justice. I love that movie, but I never thought that they would rush a Justice League that quickly. It was just like, just let this kind of, let this build a little bit, man. Yeah. And when it came out, I expected it. And plus all the backstage stuff in regards to Affleck and, him stepping away from being Batman and all this stuff. And they're going with another direction and all this. It was just like, oh my God, like it's already falling apart before it even starts. And but the Snyder Cut, I'm telling you right now, Sam, like I was jaded just like you, but I had to watch it and I said, you know what? You're forgiven.
I'll probably do. And also what kills me is that it's not canon. Like it's not like, no matter what happens in the Snyder Cut, I was always like, but it's not canon. Like even if I watch all this 4-hour movie, it's not going to mean anything going forward. None of this matters anymore. None of this matters. Right. But what's weird is I wonder what I do always wonder what they're doing, because we're still getting a Flash movie with the Flash from Justice League. Right. We're still getting another Aquaman movie with the Aquaman from Justice League with what's his name? Oh my God.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. Yeah. But we're getting a new Batman. We're getting Keaton's coming back as Batman for the Flash movie.
Flashpoint, right.
And then we're getting a new Batman in Pattinson. And
How just like
actually, surprisingly enough, I'm willing to give it a chance. And the reason I'm willing to give it a chance is, and this is my argument for everybody that likes to hate on me with this take. Everybody hated the idea of Heath Ledger playing the Joker. Everybody hated it when that first got announced. Nobody was a fan.
I'll do you one better, and then you can go ahead. People hated Michael Keaton.
He's the best Batman.
He was a comedy guy, and when he was announced, there was backlash like you never imagined. Yeah. And now people are like, "Oh, that's the guy." So yeah, go ahead, man. I just wanted to put that.
No, you're right though. Yeah. See, like people don't always necessarily it might not look like the best casting. Yeah. It might not look like the best situation, but it very well could be. And look, I don't really, only thing I know Robert Pattinson from is when my girlfriend back in high school Twilight movies. Like that's the only thing I know him from. I didn't watch him I didn't watch any of his other movies. I don't remember him in the Harry Potter movies. Nope. So I understand that he's got a big hill to climb, but I'm willing to give him a try because the movie itself sounds really cool. Like it sounds like they're doing the early years of Batman. He's just going to be super Detective Comics like. I know the Riddler's going to be like a real freaking serial killer almost. Like it's going to have a really old school noir style movie.
Right.
I'm with that. I think that sounds so cool. I'm not going to go out here on a limb and say Robert Pattinson, here comes the best Batman.
Right.
Not going to do that. But I'm going to give it a chance. I'm definitely going to give it a chance.
Yeah, listen, man.
As long as he doesn't talk like this. As long as he doesn't talk like he smokes like 13 packs of cigarettes a day, I'm good.
What was with that? Like his voice got weirder after every movie. It just got deeper and weird. I'm just like, what are you doing?
I get into an argument with my friend all the time over this. My buddy's like, he's supposed to change his voice because he's not supposed to sound like Bruce Wayne. I actually like the voice. I'm like, I get it, but guess what? Batman is a billionaire. Why doesn't he just put a voice changer in the cowl like Ben Affleck's Batman did?
Exactly.
Does he have to sound like he's got emphysema? Like why? Why?
I'm telling you, man, I completely agree. But going back to the Pattinson thing, like I when the news broke, I was just like, all right, Twilight guy, he doesn't look the part.
Yeah.
He's a smaller guy. I'm like, well, what are they gonna do with this? So I was very, very like put out about it. Then I saw the trailer, the teaser. I was just like, okay, I still hate it, but I think it's gonna be good. So this is my take. I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm not a huge Pattinson supporter, but I feel that this is going to probably be the best Batman movie we've ever seen because they're putting so much resources and there's a lot of great actors and actresses in this movie that it's going to be really, really good. So however you feel about Pattinson, the movie itself is going to grab you and say, that's probably the best Batman movie I've ever seen.
I can agree with that. I can absolutely agree with that because I don't know. I feel like of all the DC movies that we've seen over the years, they've always, for the most part, nailed Batman.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
other than the Clooney stuff.
Other than I always just forget that even existed because that was terrible. That was a terrible movie. But other than Clooney, I feel like they always nail a Batman movie. So I'm pretty confident that they'll figure it out with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
And the only other two people that I was hoping they were going to cast, I thought Josh Brolin would have been a really good Batman.
Not bad.
And Jake Gyllenhaal. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal might have been a really good Batman.
I like that Jake Gyllenhaal. I like that casting, but if they weren't going to go with a younger Batman, if they were going to go back to the older Batman, I would have liked the guy like John Hamm.
Yeah, him too. John Hamm, I think would have been cool.
I thought that he would have been an amazing Batman for some reason. He just has the look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. He definitely has the Bruce Wayne look. Down, nailed.
Yeah.
Like easy. But no, and it's so yeah, I love, like I said, I love my Batman. I literally defend Batman to the death.
Me too.
He's my favorite superhero.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Batman?
Oh, like of the actors?
Of the actors.
Okay, well,
and I need you to rank them in order.
All right. So now does it have to be live action?
Well, if you're gonna go with the animated series, I mean, listen, that's the guy.
My favorite Batman of all time. He's the Batman that's tattooed on my arm. Is the Kevin Conroy Batman?
Yes, yeah, Kevin Conroy is the gold standard, but we're not gonna put him in there.
Okay,
it's
all right, we'll put him in there.
It's just gonna be the live action stuff.
Okay, it's Keaton.
Keaton.
Then I'd have to go with it's Michael Keaton. Val Kilmer isn't even on the list. Like he's in the basement. Val Kilmer. He was not good. He was he was not. Him and Clooney are basically in the same room together. It's I'd have to go with Michael Keaton.
Okay.
Then
Keaton.
I'm gonna go with Christian Bale.
You going Bale?
Just because I'm gonna forget the voice for a second. I thought visually in the suit he looked good.
Yeah.
The fight scenes are pretty good, and the movies themselves were really good.
Yes.
And then for classic reasons, Adam West, he's going right there as number 3 because he's the classic. He's the Batman on TV. And then at the bottom we can interchange Val Kilmer and Val Kilmer. It goes Val Kilmer, then than George
Batfleck?
Clooney.
Oh, then
Oh
George
no, well,
Clooney.
Batfleck. I forgot about Batfleck. Batfleck definitely goes ahead of Val Kilmer, and so it goes Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, Adam West, Batfleck, Val Kilmer, and then George Clooney at the bottom, rounding it out.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. You're gonna highly disagree with me, but I just loved Val Kilmer's Batman.
Did you really? Okay.
I love Val Kilmer. Listen, it was a little cheesy. The movie itself is cheesy. Like, those movies were cheesy, but I think he was really, really good. Like, I think he looked good in the suit. I think he was a pretty decent Bruce Wayne. I liked how he depicted Batman, sort of. So it wasn't terrible for me. It wasn't Clooney-esque. So if I'm gonna rank them, I'm going Keaton. I'm going Batfleck. I love Batfleck. Sorry.
Okay. Fair.
I'm gonna go Bale, because although, like you said, like the voice killed me, but he did a lot of great stuff in that movie. The movies were really, really, really solid. And then I will go Kilmer, and then I gotta go Adam West. That's my top 5. It's not a disrespect to Adam West. I love the guy, but it's just. Those live action movies are my favorite, and then you got the TV show. So, I just think that Batfleck really, really embodied the grizzled, old, jaded Batman. Like, he's been in Gotham for 20 years. He doesn't trust anybody. He's just so surly and so over it that he really embodied that. So people don't give it its fair due, but I think over time, those movies are going to be like, you know what, he was pretty good.
I would have liked to see Ben Affleck get his own Batman movie.
Yeah, that was the plan. That was the plan, man. I think his solo film would have been really, really good, man.
Yeah, I could totally agree with that. I think the only reason I put him so low on the list is just because I didn't have enough of him.
He didn't have a solo.
I didn't have enough of him as just Batman.
Right.
Because I personally think he did better than a lot of people thought he was going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, again, it was another one of those instances where everybody just killed the casting right away, and you don't give him a chance. Like, I think he did a lot better than everybody said he did.
100%,
So
100%.
I'm totally with you on that. Yeah, no, dude, I can't hate that list. Adam West, I always put Adam West at the I just put him there for respect. I like a darker Batman more than the funny, quirky Batman. I like the brooding, dark Batman. And I think also one of the beefs I have with Val Kilmer's Batman is I just personally feel like that Batman should have been Keaton. Keaton should have just continued, because that was another Tim Burton movie, I believe.
Yeah, it was a Tim Burton movie, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keaton should have just stayed with Tim Burton and just continued the series. You know what I mean?
I agree. I definitely agree. So it's definitely good to see Keaton come back in Flashpoint, because I'm telling you, once you see the Snyder Cut, that bad taste, that how they depicted Batman in that movie, will completely get washed away.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm right. People can be able to email me or tell me that I'm wrong, but I think the Snyder Cut, they are building off of that. Like, they're building an entire universe based on, so that Flashpoint movie is going to have some semblance of that Snyder Cut, and then they're just gonna go from there. So they're reigniting everything now.
I hope so.
On that Snyder Cut, because it was so successful. It got such great reviews that people want to see more. Yeah. And if they're gonna go down that direction, they're gonna have success, and they're gonna be able to. I don't like to compare and talk about competition. It has nothing to do with competition. They'll never compete with Marvel, but they can be able to create their own little niche here. They can be able to create their own little cubby in this comic book world. So, I'm really excited to see it, because I think Flashpoint is going to be a very, very important movie in this entire DC universe.
I hope so. I would like to see DC just pick it up a little bit, because I think DC nails it in their cartoons. DC nails it on TV, even though I'm kind of over a lot of the shows that they have on the CW.
Right.
So I would just like to see them finally nail it on the movie screen. Like
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
agree.
to see them be able to figure it out and put a good universe or a good string of movies together. Like don't just like I love Batman.
Yeah.
Don't just live and die by your next Batman movie. Like I would like to see more characters get their shine. I'm totally disappointed with what they did with the Wonder Woman movie. Like the second Wonder Woman
but
was not as good as the first one.
Did you hear the I can't remember the director. The director and 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, they had some issues behind the scenes, and there was some threat saying that he's gonna like destroy this movie for her and make her look terrible and all this stuff. So what you see in this movie, if all those allegations are true, it makes sense. It really, really makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
it was not as good. It definitely wasn't as good as the first one. They definitely did her wrong.
So Warner's definitely they've cleaned house. They're trying to clean up their house. So I'm excited for them, man. Now, are you a big Star Wars guy?
Oh, I love Star Wars.
See, now I have to lean back in my chair a little bit because the pain of those last 3 films. Can you please explain to me what happened?
I think it was, you know, it's really hard, you know, because I personally look, I get that they weren't as amazing as the original trilogy. Right. I get that totally. The problem I have is I think it's very hard to get as good as the original trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, I think the good part about all of these other Star Wars properties that are coming out, like The Mandalorian,
which is very good. I still haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you haven't watched a single episode yet?
Nada.
Oh, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing. It's all offshoot stories. Like, that's what I love. It's offshoot stories of either the original story or a new story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they tried to mimic the original trilogy with new stories, and it just didn't hit. You know, like they tried to redo A New Hope with Rey. Yes. And it didn't hit the same way the original A New Hope did. Like, they just basically tried to reskin the original trilogy rather than do new, well-developed stories. And I think that was kind of their problem, because all of the movies, like they hold some real similarities to the original trilogy. Like, there are times where you're watching it, it's like, did I just watch the first movie again? Did I just watch A New Hope? Like, what happened? But I don't know if you saw this, because Jon Favreau, who's been working with the Mandalorian, he's been on for a lot of these new Star Wars properties, is joining the whole main team for Lucasfilms and Disney.
Yes.
Word on the grapevine, or what I'm hearing, is they're gonna basically scrap that whole trilogy. That they're basically gonna just restart the whole thing.
Yeah. Listen, if they do that, I'm all for it, because I didn't hate Rey. I didn't hate her character. The problem that I had was the confusion that they caused, because Finn, to me, looked like he was the guy. Yeah. That's where it felt like it was going after the first film, right? But then after, you know, we got different directors for every movie, and we seen exactly the disaster behind that, right? Yeah. So, you know, if they can be able to get back on track and kind of reboot things and do something new, create a new story, I'm all for it, because I love my Star Wars. But I was just highly disappointed that after all of that, they would go back into the toolbox and kind of say, hey, what's the storyline we can be able to fit here? Let's put Palpatine in there. Nobody wants to see Palpatine like that. Palpatine is gone. Like, the fact that they resurrected him that way was the cheesiest thing that you could have possibly done. It was just lazy. Lazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what I love. You see, that's what I love about, like, you know, instead of telling the same story, because that's what it was. You know, like, I like the prequels. I know they weren't as amazing as the original. I like the prequels more.
Prequels are good. Yeah,
I like them better than this trilogy.
Yes,
because it was it was connected to the original trilogy, but it was a totally new story. Like it was a new telling of the story and like explaining how we got here.
Right.
What I felt like this new trilogy was a reskin of the old one. Like it didn't feel different. It didn't feel like you were telling me a new story. It felt like you were telling me the story of Luke Skywalker. Only the difference is you made Luke Skywalker Rey, you made Yoda Luke,
right,
and like.
And you still got old ass Palpatine.
And you still got old Palpatine. You know, like I thought this was your opportunity to expand the Star Wars universe. Like like give me a new story. Give me something that isn't the same thing. You know, that's again, I love The Mandalorian because The Mandalorian is a new story, a new character that we're not following a Jedi. We're following a Mandalorian, like a bounty hunter, basically.
Yes.
I love that. The Clone Wars, I love the Clone Wars because it was telling us new stories that filled in a lot of the gaps that the prequels left us.
Right.
I love all that stuff, and I feel like they basically came out with this new trilogy because they were like, okay, we just need to come out with a movie that's a Star Wars on it. Like we just need to come out with a Star Wars movie. I don't care what the story is. It just, the front of the movie has to say Star Wars.
Right. As long as you got Star Wars on the front, we're good. Like,
exactly.
No, that's not what happened. Like, you know what I mean? It went completely left. But if they can be able to revamp this, then I think they can be able to get those hard knocks fans, those really like devoted Star Wars nut fans to come back, because a lot of people were really turned off by it. And, you know, they were so disgusted to the point where they didn't want to watch any Star Wars movies after that. Like, look how bad Solo did. Solo was a disaster. In regards to just box office numbers, not, you know, if you liked it, but it didn't do as well. You know
it definitely didn't do as well, but I think Solo gets so disrespected.
It does.
Because that movie, I understand the people that are saying, oh, you can't have Han Solo without Harrison Ford. I guess I understand that. But if you sit down and watch the movie Solo, don't tell me that was a bad movie, because it was it was an awesome prequel space Western.
Yeah.
Like, it gave you all the awesome, like, Wild West in space vibes. Like, I personally loved Solo. Okay. I thought Solo for what it was a great movie. Like, and you know, I thought like two of the best Star Wars movies that I've seen over the like past few years was Rogue One and Solo.
Rogue One is amazing. Rogue One was so good. Good.
It's a new story. It was a newer story. It was a story about people you had never seen before.
Right. And it kind of like filled in the gaps. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was cool, man. It was really cool.
I love that. And again, like, if anybody's listening and you haven't seen Solo because you're so jaded about the Star Wars universe, just sit down,
just try it,
give it a try. Like, I'm telling you, it's not gonna look. It might not be your favorite Star Wars movie that you've ever watched, but it is a good movie. Solo warrants a second movie.
Right.
I firmly believe that they warranted, they earned themselves a second movie with the way that movie wound up turning out.
Definitely.
You know, it'll probably never happen because it didn't make enough money.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll see what happens, man. So let's go ahead and segue into some sports, my man. You know, we are big time Mets fans.
Yes.
Right now, the Mets, they have, in my opinion, they've gotten decimated in the last week or so by the NL East.
Yeah.
And it's just, they had a chance to really separate themselves and extend their lead in this division to double-digit games. And what we're seeing right now is that they've allowed the pack to come back.
Yeah.
You know, Washington is playing out of their mind. Like, Schwarber is hitting everything out of the park. You know, the Phillies are starting to play a little better. You got the Braves playing a little better now. Like, what are your concerns with the Mets right now? Is it the pitching? Is it the lack of offense? Or the way I look at it, do you dislike Luis Rojas as much as I do?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm more concerned about the offense. Like, this team should be hitting a lot better than they currently are. Like, Pete should be hitting better. Dom should be hitting better. McNeil most certainly should be hitting better. I'm not even going to say Lindor because obviously we know Lindor should be hitting better, but I think he is going to come around.
And I'm giving him a pass. First time in the National League, you know, he'll get it going.
I'm not worried. I'm not really worried about him. The dude. I'm still beating the drum that the New York Mets traded for the best shortstop in the history of the franchise. That's what I believe.
And even if he's not hitting the way you want him to, the defense.
Yeah, exactly. When was the last time we had a good Gold Glove shortstop? It's Ray Ordonez. Yeah, exactly. So no, the offense is my main concern. And look, I gave Rojas a lot of flack in the beginning, but with the amount of people that they had on the 17 people that they had injured, the fact that they were able to still keep that team afloat makes me be like, okay, I have to give Luis Rojas a little bit of a pass. I have to let him, you know, I have to give him a little bit because he did keep a team afloat that had no business being afloat.
Right.
But I'm only concerned because I knew this was coming. Like I knew that Washington was a better team that they were letting on. I knew that Philly was a better team that they were letting on. I knew most certainly Atlanta was going to wake up at some point.
Right.
You know, so I never in my life thought the Mets were just going to run away. I never thought the NL East was going to be a garbage division. I thought that all these teams at some point were going to wake up. We're coming off of a 60-game season, so people are already kind of off.
Right.
You know, so I knew that these teams were going to come on at some point. The Mets are lucky that they were able to get a little bit of a lead in the division.
Yes.
So they had a cushion. That cushion since left because I think they got a 2-game lead in the division right now.
2.5, something like that. Yeah.
It's something like that. It's not as big as it once was. But out of concern, I'm mostly concerned about the fact that they can't hit right now. Yeah. You know, that's the pitching has been unreal. Like the fact that they've been able to scratch all these pitchers together behind Jake has been amazing. Jake and Stroman have been great. Taijuan Walker looks like one of the best free agent signings of any offseason I can remember.
Amazing.
You know, and for 2 years, they got the guy for 2 years,
right?
Which is great. If they can get, I know that there's been talks about Josh Donaldson maybe from the Twins because he's going to cost you nothing, or maybe Chris Bryant from the Cubs.
That's who I want, man.
Me too. I want Chris Bryant. I'm a little nervous because I know that he's going to be a rental. Like you're signing him you're trading for him to leave probably next year.
Yeah.
But I would love Chris Bryant as a New York Met because they need a solid third baseman. Even with JD Davis coming back, I don't believe him as a starting third baseman.
Yeah, like he's good, man. It's just that I never looked at JD Davis as an everyday player.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he's a great bench guy. He's a great guy that you can be able to play 2 or 3 times a week. But you know, he's not a guy that I want to see every day because defensively, he's so bad.
Next year, when the DH is in the National League next year, he's a perfect spot for he's a DH candidate.
Like just have him penciled in as a DH. But defensively, we can't have a hole at third base. We just can't. You know, you need to shore up that side of the infield because our shortstop and second base positions are so good. You need to make sure your third is good as well because you know. As much as I love Alonso, you know, he's starting to come along defensively, but he's not great. So, you know, you need to make sure that everybody else is doing their part to kind of like, you know, compensate for his, you know, defensive liabilities here and there. But I completely agree with you, man. I like Josh Donaldson, but I don't know.
He's a little old.
A little old, you know what I mean? You know, the contract is obviously they're gonna front the bill on that. But you know, do you want to invest into that this year? I don't know. Maybe that's the way. But I'd rather just go younger. I'd rather just like pony up some of the prospects and go get yourself a Chris Bryant. Like just go ahead and do that.
The problem I have with doing that is I don't want to a lot of the Francisco Alvarez. I'm not trading. Brett Beatty, I'm not trading.
Oh well, no, he's off limits. Yeah.
Mauricio, I'm not trading right now. I don't know who I would trade prospects wise to go get Chris Bryant, especially since he's a rental. So I don't know exactly what the Cubs are going to be asking for.
Yeah.
But that's why I would entertain the idea of Josh Donaldson just because the dude still hits. I know he's old. I think he's like 35 right now. But I'm not necessarily looking to next year. Like I want to win right now because I need to get Jake deep into the playoffs. Like,
and the thing is, I think he's batting like what 250 and got like 13 home runs. So he has some decent offensive numbers right now. So it's not a terrible move. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I just, and again, in terms of Pete Alonso is the perfect. I know we were just talking about JD Davis being the DH. Pete Alonso is the perfect. He's going to be the DH next year. It's going to be Alonso's going to be DH and Dom's going to be stuck back at first base. Right. And then we'll find a left fielder somewhere. Right. But that's the dream scenario. But no, in terms of this year, they need to figure out some way to get this offense going because Schwarber's not going to stop and Atlanta is most certainly not going to stop.
That dude is just something else, man. Like he hit 7 home runs against us in a series. Yeah,
there are the Yankees front office is killing themselves right now.
Well, they're killing themselves for a lot of mistakes. And I guess let's kind of segue into that because the Subway Series is here. Do you see us winning this series? Because it's a battle of 2 teams that need to win right now.
Yeah. I definitely could see them. I could see them winning the series just because the Yankees looked so miserable. What I mean? Like, I know it's 2 teams that are desperate for wins, but I mean, like the Yankees haven't shown me anything that's really all that impressive. I know that their lineup is a lot better than they've been letting on, but they've been a real dumpster fire. The only thing I would be nervous about is the Yankees might be more desperate. Like the Mets are desperate for wins because they don't want to lose this lead in the NL East, but the Yankees are desperate to just stay relevant. You know what I mean? So
because they are losing ground every day.
Like they are I think they're almost double digit losses out of the first place, so double digit games back out of first place. So but I think the Mets could absolutely win it because again, I believe in Taijuan Walker. I think he's going to be an absolute beast. I don't know if they get Marcus Stroman in this series. I think they might. I think the Mets have the far superior pitching. Yeah. The bullpen has been pretty good. So no, I think the Mets could definitely, if they can hit again, it's an, if they can hit situation.
Definitely.
You're playing in a bandbox. So you're playing in Yankee Stadium. So you could check swing home runs out of there.
Right. I think Alonso may have a decent series, in the Subway Series. I'm hoping. But what are your thoughts about what has happened to the Yankees? Like, if you were to put your finger on something, what would it be that would be the most alarming thing that you would say, this is the reason why they're so bad? I have mine. I would love to hear yours.
Oh, well, I mean, they have a similar problem that the Mets do is they just can't hit with runners in scoring position. Like they probably lead the league in solo home runs.
Yes.
Like in garbage time when it doesn't matter. Like it's their lineup doesn't hit productively. They literally strike out I was initially scared when they traded for Giancarlo Stanton. I was like, here we go. The Yankees are going to go on a run. But then I forgot they have Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, and Gary Sanchez. All those guys are going to strike out over like 400 times this year.
And who's going to be healthy?
Yeah, exactly. None of them. They're not one of them is going to be healthy. It also doesn't help that Aroldis Chapman, this dude that you just paid an insane amount of money to close games, can't close games anymore. So he looks absolutely garbage. There's just I feel like there's just not one thing you can pinpoint to the Yankees. That's their problem. Like their problem is they have so many. They don't got enough guys in the rotation. They don't got enough guys in the bullpen. Their defense really isn't that great. And oh, by the way, they don't hit productively. Whereas I'm a Mets fan, I like my bullpen. I like my rotation. The defense is still pretty is still pretty good. Even with everybody liking to complain about us playing a first baseman in left field.
Right.
Dom Smith's a good left fielder. I don't care what anybody says.
It's not bad.
The only thing the Mets have is they're not hitting right now. The Yankees have a laundry list of issues.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think my biggest issue with the Yankees is Boone. Aaron Boone, I think to me, has been the guy that sometimes when a team is struggling, sometimes you need a different voice, and maybe that can kind of spark your team and kind of wake them up a little bit, because Aaron Boone was hired to be the complete opposite of Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi was the guy like, listen, I'm the manager, get out of my way, stay out of my office, right?
Yeah.
He challenged the players. He was very hard with his players in regards to, I'm the manager, you're the player, there's no friends here. We have to make sure that we get to our goal of winning championships and winning this division. these players, I guess, didn't really like that. So they went the complete opposite route of getting a guy that's, I pretty much call a babysitter. Like he's babysit this team over the last few years. And now when things are hard, he's trying to revert back to being that tough-nosed manager. It's too late. The cat's already out of the bag. Like it's something that I've never seen the fit. I've heard a lot of Yankee fans, they do not want him back next season. And I pretty much agree with them. I think it's time for them to find a new face of this team.
My problem with a lot of that is, like for all the shortcomings that Aaron Boone's had this year, like Aaron Boone did have the New York Yankees a step away from being in the World Series. I know that doesn't count it for Yankee fans. I totally understand that. But my bigger problem is the way the team was constructed. Like,
that's true too. Yes.
Like you're going to hear, like listen to New York sports radio. All you're ever going to hear is that the team is poorly constructed. They're all right-handed in Yankee Stadium. Like,
right.
I don't know what Brian Cashman was thinking when he made that decision.
We know what the truth is, though, right, Tom? Is that we know that Cashman has screwed up with this team, but he's not going to be the fall guy.
Well, he definitely won't be, or he won't be, but he probably should be. Look, again,
agree.
I'm not saying Aaron Boone is the greatest manager to ever step foot on a baseball field. But what I am going to say is, like, he can only manage the players that he's been dealt. And he's been dealt a lot of players that are severely underperforming players. Yes. And he can't make them play better. Like, he can coach them. He can try and motivate them. But ultimately, it's on the players themselves that have to perform. Right. Aaron Judge has to hit. Giancarlo Stanton has to hit. Gary Sanchez has to hit. Like, sure, you can go at Boone. You can say Boone's not a great motivator anymore, doesn't have his pulse on the team. I guess I understand, but it's mostly the fact that Boone is playing the hand that he's dealt, and the hand that he was dealt is a dud. It's not good.
So that's a good point. I definitely agree with you. Like, my two biggest concerns is Aaron Boone, and it's also Cashman. I think Cashman over the last few years, Tom, hubris has gotten in the way because he believes that no matter what he does, it's going to be gold. And it's not, because the biggest mistake that he's ever made was letting Didi walk. Yeah. Letting Didi walk was the biggest mistake, because Didi was a glue guy. He was a great locker room guy. Yeah. He was a leader. And when you miss a guy like that, you're looking at a team that has no captain. They have nobody steering the ship to be able to galvanize these guys in that locker room, say, hey, listen, we're going through a rough patch, but we'll get out of it. Like, they don't believe in each other. Yeah. They don't believe themselves. They don't believe in each other. They don't believe in the management. They don't believe in the roster, period. So there's a lot of issues, and it definitely does start with Cashman, because the thing is, and I dive a little deeper into it because I love baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport. The analytics and the sabermetrics have, my opinion, really, really destroyed the game of baseball. Like, what we see right now in baseball is that everybody's is too hyper analytical. Nobody's using their eyes anymore. It's all about launch angles and exit velo and throwing 100 miles an hour. Like, a guy can't come into the major leagues right now and throw 91 and paint corners. They're not looked at as guys that are viable options anymore. Guys that are singles and doubles hitters, and guys that steal bases. They are not looked at as desirable guys. There's a problem, and it starts with the actual fundamentals of baseball, learning how to hit a baseball instead of teaching these guys to hit the ball out of the park, because analytically, according to the numbers, that's a better hit than a double or a single. Like, that's the problem, is that these guys actually really around baseball don't know how to just hit a baseball. That's the problem.
Well, I agree. And I think it's more of just that's more of a conversation that you also have for the entertainment value of the game. Right. You know what I mean? Like, sure, it might be more beneficial for me to hit a home run or try to hit a home run, because it's going to get more runs on the board, and odds are it'll be a deeper fly ball. You know, obviously maybe I'll even get on base. I'm trying to just hit a home run and worry about launch angle. Right. But we're also talking about like entertainment factor of the game. If the goal of baseball is to either hit a home run or strike out, there's going to be a lot of action that's not happening on the field, which is going to lose people's attention span. It's
Right.
going to lose people's interest in the game. So
Right.
I think you're right in a sense of we need to have more ideas of people just putting the ball in play and getting people moving, getting the game moving around,
Right.
and not just a bunch of guys standing around watching guys strike out.
Absolutely.
200 times a season, 300 times a season.
And that's the thing. It's like at no point in my baseball watching life did I ever think that at some point strikeouts would be okay.
Yeah.
Like, like being a hitter, it's fine if you strike out 200 times a season, as long as you bang 35 home runs, knock in 90 RBIs, you get on your on base percentage is over 35%. It's fine. Like, no, that's not baseball.
Nope.
Baseball is a different sport than all the other sports. It's not a timed game. It's a game about adjustments and thinking. It's a thinking man's game. You're completely taking the essence of the game away by doing all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? By taking away, situational hitting and guys knowing what to do. Like the shift. If for the life of me, Tom, everybody's lined up on one side like Little League, and the guy is looking, and the entire third base line is open. And you mean to tell me that guy cannot slap that ball down third base line? Like, this is why I'm saying that guys don't know how to hit anymore. Yep. They couldn't do the shift 25 years ago because those guys were slapping that down third base line. They're getting triples and maybe inside the park home runs.
Yep.
You do that. So this is the problem in baseball, is that you've taken the element of thinking the game and fundamentals out of it, and just, based on the numbers, this is what we have to do. Based on the numbers of this guy, analytics, this guy has to be at the top of the lineup. It's just.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. They've taken a lot of the fun out of the game, and they've just made it more about like how many runs I could score off for one swing, rather than having table setters and putting guys on base to score them. No, I totally agree with you. And I wonder if I don't know what's going to be the deciding factor to change that viewpoint in baseball. But they need to figure it out. Because it's I personally feel like it's murdering the game. Like it's not as fun to watch anymore when you're just watching guys strike out as much as they do.
It really isn't, man. And the thing is like, at what point did we have to change the game? Like, you see all other sports. Football has turned into a passing game. We understand that. It was a running game. Now it's a passing game. Basketball, it's more shooting. There's no dominant, legitimate big man in the paint anymore. It's not clogging the paint. It's more spreading the floor out, getting more shooters. It's made the game better. Even hockey, they sped the game up. There's more goal scoring that's going on. Spread guys out a little bit more. All of those things have improved those sports. Baseball's going the other way.
Yep.
Like, baseball there was no reason to change that. If you wanted to speed the game up a little more in regards to certain guys that stay on the mound and it takes them 7 minutes between every pitch to pitch, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But the actual game did not need fixing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely agree with you. The game itself was fine. It's just, you just needed to speed up a couple of things. Exactly. Right. Like, I'm fine with the limiting the amount of times you can go to the mound. I'm fine with, if you want to do a pitch clock, fine, do a pitch clock.
Right.
But no, everything else about the game was just so great. And to just see where it's gone now, it's a little disheartening and concerning. And I don't like that they're like, oh, well, all we're going to do is we're just going to move the mound back. It's like, no, just change your mentality. Try to change some mentalities and get the ball moving again. Like that's all the game needs.
And also, too, what are your thoughts about the whole sticky substance stuff? Like,
well, look, it's kind of hard because, like, I understand that this is a baseball's issue because baseball just keeps changing the ball itself. So the guys are using it to get better grips on the ball.
Right.
But I also, like, if baseball is going to decide to say this is illegal, you just got to stop using it. You know what I mean? Like, if they decided to say no more sticky stuff, it's like, all right, no more sticky stuff. You got to figure out how to use it otherwise. I don't want to hear pitchers complain and it's like, it's against the rules now. Like, I get it sucks, but you just got to be able to deal with it. There are plenty of pitchers in the MLB that are dealing with it. They're not using stuff on the baseballs, so if they can figure it out, you get paid millions of dollars. You can figure it out,
Yeah. My thing is this: if you want to change a rule, change a rule. But my issue is that you don't change a rule during the season.
Mid-season, yeah. No, I agree
Dudes
with you.
change the rule after the season. You fix things in the off season like every other sport does in their collective bargaining agreement. Remember when when the NFL had the catch rule, right? In regards to what's a catch and what's not. Everybody knew that it was BS, but they said, listen, we understand that people are upset. We're gonna look at that after the season. Could you imagine the backlash and the uproar that would happen if you do that mid-season? You would just change. You would just literally change the entire season. You would change how referees have to ref the game. At least give them an off season to kind of prepare about how they're going to be able to ref these games. This right now is just like, this is a desperate ploy from baseball to like, hey, look at us. We're doing something right. Come watch our game. Like, no, this is not the right thing to do right now.
Yeah, they were like, guys are striking out too much. Your guys aren't getting hits as much. So, like, we need to change something. We need to take something away from the pitches.
You doctored the balls. You doctored the balls because people were hitting too many home runs. And I agreed with that because you got below average guys smacking 37 home runs a season. I understand that. But you can't make changes like that during the season. It's like, okay, you don't want pitchers to use any sticky substance on the ball, right? But here's the hypocrisy in baseball, right? Batters use pine tar so the bat doesn't fly out of their hands and hit people in the stands and hit people in front of them. So if you're asking pitchers to now throw harder than they've ever thrown in the history of baseball, 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, you need to find a way to hold on to those balls. And certain guys have, they have sweatier hands than other people. Certain people can be able to just use powder or something else and just be fine. Other guys may need to use a little something because they throw harder and they need a little bit more security. So I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I think that baseball has more deep-rooted issues than sticky substance, honestly. Really
I agree with I totally agree with you. And I mean, like, they probably made this change during the middle of the season because they know that that we're in for a work stoppage next year anyway.
Yes.
So
yes, for the first time, right? Yeah.
So, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
And,
definitely.
Yeah.
So you're a Giants fan.
Big Giants fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, okay.
I had to break the news to you. We were doing so well, Mets, Islanders. Now I had to break the news to you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Listen, I like what the Giants have done this offseason.
Me too.
I like the fact, I like their draft. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones, but he has the weapons that if he's going to succeed, it will be this year. If he's going to fail, he's going to fail because he's going to fail and not because the team set him up for failure. What are your expectations for the Giants this year? Do you feel that they can be able to compete in this division? Because my personal opinion, I have Dallas as the best team, and I have Washington and New York kind of flip-flopping in regards to who can be able to be that second team and vie for that wild card. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the Giants are going to be, it's really hard to not be a vastly improved team than they were last year.
Yes.
I think you're right. I was never really as out on Daniel Jones as a lot of people seem to be because I thought the Giants didn't really put him in a great position to succeed. Sure. Saquon Barkley is one of the best running backs that anybody's ever drafted.
Right.
I get that. But other than that, their offensive line was terrible for years. That's why Eli had the end of his career the way he did.
Yes.
He never really, his number one wide receiver was freaking Golden Tate, who, look, I get Golden Tate was an okay wide receiver, but he's not a number one. He's not on the same level as Odell was when he was here.
He's
not
even
3
at best.
Yeah, he's a number 3 at best. So I think they finally gave him a good supporting cast around him to, you're right. If Daniel Jones doesn't succeed this year, that's on him. You can't blame the team at this point anymore. But I also think the defense is really good. The defense last year, it came on like that was an actual viable defense within the NFL last year. Like,
Absolutely.
I know that their record wasn't amazing, but they came alive. And Patrick Graham saying that his dream job was being the Giants defensive coordinator is music to my freaking ears. So no, I think they'll be a good team. I want to say, I think they'll be a wild card contender.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that they're winning a division right now because I still need to see a lot more than that.
Yes.
But I think they'll definitely be a wild card contender and maybe surprise people and come out with a few more wins than they have been the past few years. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with you. I am so impressed with Joe Judge. that,
Me too.
I was very skeptical of him coming in, but he's proven that he is the right guy for the job, man. His temperament, how he turned this team around last year in regards to the professionalism that he brought. They all had this. The Giants had this demeanor last year that they were going to play hard no matter what it was. Like, they were in every game. They didn't get blown out much last season. They were pretty much in every game. So that kind of gives you some confidence that they will be a good team going forward. Daniel Jones, I think his biggest issue is his hands. There's nothing he can't do anything about having small hands as a person. And when you have small hands as a quarterback, it's going to be hard to really hold on to that football, especially with a blindside sack. There's going to be a lot of stuff that he can't help, but I don't know. Hopefully he can be able to find a way to kind of secure the ball a little better and have some success. If not, then they're going to go quarterback hunting after this.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. If it's not Daniel Jones this year, they're going to find somebody else next year. That's going to be, they're going to find somebody either. It'll be a retread more than likely, right. But because they can't draft somebody with the team that they have right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the team flubs this year, it's because of Daniel Jones, and now you really know what Daniel Jones is. But again, I think this is finally you have a year where you can decide that because he's got a team around him finally.
Definitely. So, I'm very excited about my Cowboys. They're going to be on Hard Knocks.
Oh, I bet. I bet. It's been the Cowboys. I joke. My buddy's a Cowboys fan, and I joke with him. Oh, is it the Cowboys year this year? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, the same way it's been the Cowboys year for the last 20, right?
We listen, if it's one thing about Cowboys fans is that we are very, very consistent. We will lose. We will be 6-10 and be like, you know what? Next year, it's our year. But realistically, I like the team offensively. I wasn't a huge fan of Dak getting all of that money. But if they're going to invest in them, that's fine. They have the offensive line. They have the offense. The defense has been the problem over the last few years. I want to see if they can be able to at least improve a little bit. Bringing in Dan Quinn, we'll see if he can be able to create that same magic that he had in Seattle as a coordinator. So we'll find out, but it can't. I don't think the defense can be any worse than it was last season. It was historically bad last season.
Oh, so, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how good they can be able to be on that end.
Oh, absolutely. My problem is I just feel like the Cowboys somehow wind up always being habitual underachievers. Like year after year after year after year after year, I hear, oh, the Cowboys are going to win the division, no doubt, hands down, going to win it, and then they don't.
Right,
so, that's what. And also, I agree with you with the whole Dak thing. Like, I agree that Dak is a good quarterback, but to the people that tell me that Dak Prescott is on the Pat Mahomes level, I will remind you last time we saw Dak Prescott in a full season, the Cowboys went 8-8 and missed the playoffs.
Right.
So now again, that's not all on him. It is you do have to respect that the defense wasn't really that amazing. But no, I think they'll definitely be a better team. They have a good offensive weapons around Dak. Amari Cooper is good. Michael Gallup's good. CeeDee Lamb's good. Obviously Zeke's good. Yeah. So I think they'll be a good team. Again, I'm not going to necessarily think that I don't know if they're winning a Super Bowl this year, but I think they'll definitely be. If they're not winning the division, they'll be close. I mean, they'll definitely. For the most part, I'll probably pick them to win the division if you're going to make me pick.
Yeah, definitely, man. The thing is too is that I've been very critical of Dak Prescott. I'm not one of those Cowboy fans that are just like oblivious to what's going on. Like, I'm a realist. Like, if you're good, you're good. Dak is good, but what I've noticed in the Dak Prescott era is that his teams have always found ways of starting very, very slow.
Yeah.
Like, the team will be down 21-0 before we even blink, and we have to find a way to fight back into the game because he's missing throws. He's throwing interceptions. He's fumbling the ball. Like, those things, he's making the big money now. You can't make those mistakes anymore. You have to be better. He's been good in his career. He needs to be elite in order for the Cowboys to be where they want to be. He can't just be good. He has to be elite. He has to take that step to be in that Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson category. If he's not there, the Cowboys are going to be mediocre. And that's the problem, is that there's a lot of pressure on the Cowboys on a whole, but there's more pressure, in my opinion, on Dak Prescott.
Well, especially after he just got paid. I can't disagree with you I can't disagree with you on that. Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
After you get paid like that, you need to perform and you need to be the guy that's going to get them over the hump.
Right.
Totally agree.
You need to be the reason why the Cowboys are winning instead of the reason why they're losing or they're down 21-0 because you threw 2 bad passes in the series and now they have no rhythm. So the biggest story in football right now, obviously, is the soap opera that's going on in Green Bay between Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers management. What are your thoughts about this entire dynamic? Like, do you who do you side with, and do you see a resolution for this particular quandary?
It's really hard because I actually, we talk about this. On one of my co-hosts on Today with DW, the Sports Edition's a big Packer fan, Packer fan. And we kind of rip on him a little bit about this because, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the best quarterbacks to ever step foot on the field.
Right.
I guess I kind of understand where Rodgers is coming from. It's at the end of his career. The Packers have always come up short. They don't really involve him from what I hear, from what you read, they don't involve him in a lot of decisions that get made and everything like that.
That's their MO with every quarterback.
Yeah. Now, my counter is Aaron Rodgers. Like, what team could Aaron Rodgers force himself to that's going to put him in a better position to win than the Green Bay Packers right now? You know what I mean? Like, the Packers aren't trading him into the NFC. He will not be an NFC quarterback. If he's going to be an NFC quarterback, it's going to be like when Favre went to the Jets,
right?
When he used the Jets to get to Minnesota,
right?
That was the whole reason he went there. It'll be Rodgers has to go into the AFC. Yeah. Okay, Rodgers goes into the AFC. Well, now if you go to the AFC, you have to deal with Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and I wait until the very end on purpose to say Pat Mahomes.
Right.
So look, I understand if you're in the NFC, you got to deal with Tom Brady in Tampa, but the competition to get to a Super Bowl is less than what you'd have to deal with in the AFC. So, like, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I get you want more money. I get your situation isn't the greatest, but like, where are you going to go that's going to put you in a better position to win than the Green Bay Packers right now? Because the Green Bay Packers have been one step away from winning getting to the Super Bowl for the past couple of years.
Well, listen, I can definitely see your point in that, but I'm going to go the other way because Aaron Rodgers is the reason why the Green Bay Packers are good. You take Aaron Rodgers away, they are one of the worst teams in football because Aaron Rodgers does so much on that offensive line to be able to put people in position, to be able to make the throws. There's only probably 3 or 4 quarterbacks in all of football that can be able to make the throws that Aaron Rodgers can make. And I can even say maybe 2 between him and Pat Mahomes, right? So this is the problem, is that he's looking at Tom Brady, he's looking at he's looking at Pat Mahomes, he's looking at what's the kid in Buffalo?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. He's looking at all of these guys with these weapons, with this team behind them, and he's like, I've never had that. And the one time that you guys have actually spent money via free agency and got me players, I won a Super Bowl. Like, that's how he's looking at it. When you went out and got me, Woodson and all these other guys defensively, and we had a decent offense, we won a Super Bowl. So I need more help. Like, as you get older, as quarterbacks get older, they need more assistance. This is why Tom Brady was very calculated in regards to where he went. It's not the Tampa Bay didn't call Tom Brady. He called them because he was like, listen, if you let me come there, I can be able to take that same talent that you have, and we can be able to go places that you didn't go in 2 years before that, because the Bucs, they were a 7-9 team prior to that. So they weren't a bad team. They just needed more consistent quarterback play.
Yeah.
You put in Tom Brady, and this is what you get. Now, obviously, it was a magical season in regards to how it turned out. Nobody expected them to win a Super Bowl, but that's what Rodgers is looking for, is that Green Bay in their history has done this. They did it to Favre. They're now doing it to Rodgers, is that they feel that whatever move they make is the best move. No matter, like, if they have a guy that's up for contract. They don't give him extensions. They end up trading the guy or letting him walk. They end up, doing terrible in the draft. Like, look over the last few years. We talk about the draft with the Jordan Love. They drafted the kid in the first round. They did not draft a wide receiver in the entire draft in a wide receiver draft.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. In a year that everybody got great receivers, Justin Jefferson was in that draft. They could have got him. Like, he goes to Minnesota. We all know the rest is history. But Aaron Rodgers is looking at it like, okay, you get Jordan Love. I don't have a problem with the kid, but get me some offense. If you're gonna allow me to be the quarterback that I need to be, let me do that. Because one more thing, and I'll let you go, is that they didn't think that Aaron Rodgers would be the MVP this year. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that they thought Aaron Rodgers was on the downswing of his career, and he is, but they thought that he was regressing a little faster than they kind of, calculated or imagined. He came back this year and won the MVP despite that organization. And I think that's the animosity that he has, because I saw him play angry this year. Normally, I don't see Aaron Rodgers play angry. He's just very cool and collected. He played with a purpose this year because he wanted to prove to his own organization that I'm still the guy. Don't try to shut me out and try to send me packing, because I'm still one of the best quarterbacks in this league.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see, the way I'm looking at it is like, because I agree with you. Like, I think that the Packers, even though I know Aaron Rodgers is the reason that they're good. I get that. But and then the Packers, I understand the Packers haven't done anything to really put stuff around him. They've been bargain basement shopping at best, other than Devontae
Bazaar
Adams.
Masters. Yes,
exactly. Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver they have, and he's great. I don't want to take anything away from him. But my issue is, like, I'm just thinking of it instead of a whose fault this is kind of situation. I'm looking at it from an Aaron Rodgers point of view. Like, where can Aaron Rodgers go that's going to make him be as successful as he is in Green Bay? I get Green Bay hasn't given him the weapons that he needs. He hasn't given him everything. But like I said, Tom Brady went down to Tampa and he stepped in it. Like, he stepped in the best situation he could ever think. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, OJ Howard. I know that Leonard Fournette was a late on addition. You didn't expect him to be as good, but Leonard Fournette was great. Gronk came. Like, there were so many pieces already in Tampa that Tom Brady just had to be inserted and they were good to go.
Right.
I can't think of many teams that exist right now that you can insert Aaron Rodgers into and they're immediately a Super Bowl contender. Maybe San Francisco. But again, Green Bay is not trading Aaron Rodgers in the NFC. That's not happening. Nope. So he's going to go into the AFC. But again, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, why do I want to go to the AFC when I have to compete with Pat Mahomes? I have to compete with Lamar Jackson. I have to compete with Baker, even though he's light years better than Baker.
Right.
But I got to compete with so many more talented quarterbacks that if I stayed in the NFC, I would be just fine. So, again, I don't know. This is like a really weird stalemate of a situation.
It is.
The Packers are screwed if Rodgers leaves, and Rodgers, I don't know if he's going to get to a situation that gets him to the end game that he'd like to, other than more money. He can find a team that'll pay him a lot of money, but I don't know if he'll find a team that's going to win him a Super Bowl more than the team he's on now.
Well, listen, I 100% agree with you. I think that it's a weird situation, because the only option that I feel that Aaron Rodgers has is to retire.
Yeah.
To pull the Carson Palmer move, retire, and then sit out a year and then go somewhere else. Like, that's the only option I see. If he really doesn't want to repair this relationship and it doesn't look like he wants to, or maybe he's just dragging this out to make them sweat like they've never sweat before. Maybe that's his thing, is saying, like, I'm going to show you guys that you really, really need me. And the way you've been behaving over the last decade, you haven't made me feel appreciated enough that if I was somewhere else, they would give me these things. You guys are not giving me what I want, so now I'm going to make you sweat. And I understand that side of it, because I always kind of side with the players in regards to certain situations, because like I've discussed, like I said before, the older the quarterback gets is the more weapons they need, the better the offensive line needs to be, the better the just the overall weapons have to be. The sharper the defense needs to be, because they don't have that much time left. The window was very short, very small. So you have to capitalize on that window. Tampa Bay has done that. They've gotten everybody back. They look like they're going to be one of the best teams, in football again next season. Yeah. So you're talking about Green Bay, who was arguably one of the best teams in the league last year as well. If Aaron Rodgers is not there, or he's not locked in the way he wants to, they're going to take a step back. So that means that the NFC may be wide open for another team to kind of step in there. So, that's kind of his leverage, is that, okay, do you want to go back into rebuild mode real quickly? Because I don't think that you expected that. The coaching staff is not prepared for that. Devontae Adams is not prepared for that. And we heard what he said, that, he may be out of town if things don't work the way he wants to. So, there's a lot of moving parts here, and, it's just going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, it totally is. I've been glued to this Aaron Rodgers situation since it happened, because I thought it was a joke at first. And now it's like, really, that Aaron Rodgers might not be a Green Bay Packer again. And, right. I'm sure that that's going to ultimately be the situation. I don't think he's going to be a Packer again. I'm curious to see where he winds up.
Yeah.
Because again, I keep saying, I can't think of a team that he can get to right now that'll put him in a better situation than the Green Bay Packers. He takes away the Green Bay Packers' success by him leaving, but him being there, he's been a step away from the Super Bowl so many times. I don't know of a team that either Green Bay will trade him to that'll put him there, or that he could even sign to. If he sat out a year, or retired and sat out the year and gone to a new team, I think the San Francisco 49ers will nap him up in a minute, even though they have Trey Lance, even though they drafted Trey Lance.
They would let Trey Lance sit there for a couple, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Learn behind Aaron Rodgers, learn behind the best quarterback to ever do it. Just go ahead.
At least they know that they have the heir apparent to the throne. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's going to be real interesting. He's probably going to have to sit down and retire. I know I think it's this week or next week. He's got to tell them that he's opting out, if he's going to actually opt out, or he's going to start getting fined for not showing up.
Right.
But it's got to suck for the Packers. It blows my mind that we're doing this again, because I remember when this happened with Favre, and it's like Favre did his will he retire, won't he retire thing for a little while. And then wound up on the Jets and then the Vikings. So it's weird that it's literally almost the exact same thing is happening again.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, man, that this organization in the last 20 plus years or so, they've had two great quarterbacks come through there, and they have 2 Super Bowls to show for it.
That's it.
You followed the NBA at all?
I'm a little bit of I wasn't always a huge basketball fan growing up, but I think over the pandemic, I kind of got more into basketball than like over the beginning of the pandemic when the bubble happened. I got a little bit more into basketball. But I do consider myself a Knicks fan.
Nice. So what do you think the Knicks should do in the offseason? Like, do you feel that they should get themselves like a big time free agent, or just kind of, draft well, get these young players in and kind of just build that way?
It's hard for me to really say, because, I think that they're a decent team that needs like a little bit. They definitely need a little bit more scoring, because they couldn't keep up with Atlanta in the playoffs and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan. Like, I want Damian Lillard more than anything. I would love Damian Lillard on the Knicks.
So does everybody, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm willing to trade like 4 first-round picks, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin. I don't know if I want to trade an entire team for Damian Lillard, because it's just going to make me think of what we did with Melo, and they traded for Melo, and Melo didn't have a team around him, and look how that ended up.
Right. And the thing is with Melo, not to cut you off, but
no, it's okay.
They didn't have to do that. Like, they could have signed him in the off season for nothing. They could have kept their young pieces, but the threat for him was the lockout. So he was like, I want my money now. Get me now. I don't want to wait until free agency and the uncertainty in the offseason. So I agree with you in regards to, they kind of have to, be a little smart with how they build this team.
Yeah. And it's, so I like the young players that they have. They definitely need a little bit more help. This all changes though. Like, if Kawhi Leonard opts out of LA, which I don't think he will.
I think he will.
Oh, well, no, I think he will, but I think he's going to opt out and go play
stay.
for the Lakers. No, I think he'll
Really?
probably. Yeah. I think.
Listen, I'm a Laker fan, and he blew his chance with me. Tom. I'm not going to lie to you. Because he had a chance to sign with the Lakers 2 years ago, but he decided that he wanted to go to the basement. He wanted to go to the basement with the Clippers, and now you got to sit in that bed. We don't want you. We don't want you in Laker land. We don't want you.
You don't want Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard. That's a big three.
I
literal big three.
I wanted it 2 years ago. I don't want it anymore.
That's fair. No, well,
But for the Knicks though, that's a scenario that now makes sense. If you get Kawhi Leonard as a free agent, and then the Knicks go ahead and say, let's now turn our attention to go acquiring Damian Lillard. Now trading those young pieces and those draft picks makes sense because you already have a waiting superstar waiting for his partner.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense. Like, I definitely don't think that a Dame trade or any disgruntled superstar trade should happen before they go get themselves a big fish in free agency. So
I agree.
I think that's the formula that they need to go to. And
if not, just keep addressing everything in the draft. See what minor talent you can add to keep the team going. Because the problem is Julius Randle was one of the best, was their MVP this year, but he's not a viable number one. He's not the guy. He's not like how Trae Young is for the Hawks.
Right.
Not how Donovan Mitchell is for the Jazz. He's not that guy. He's good, but he's not the number one option that you need. He's like a good two.
Do you think? Okay, so you think he's a solid two? Because I have watched Randall his entire career. I am more on the other side of it. I think that he's more of a 3 than a 2 because there's a lot of things that he does good, but I always call him the master of none. Like he can do everything. He can do a lot of things well, but he doesn't do one thing spectacular. You know what I mean?
Agree. Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I just, I think it's just also coming off of the fact that I watched him this year and him be like, I know he wasn't going to win an MVP. He shouldn't have won the MVP in the NBA, but I mean, I think he should have garnered a couple of votes just because without Julius Randle, the Knicks are maybe a lottery team. You know what I mean? So, it's really weird. I'm hoping, because again, if they got Kawhi Leonard, then I'm saying, okay, mortgage the future, go trade
send the ball boys, send everybody.
Yeah, send everybody over to Portland, bring in Damian Lillard, and let's see what we can put together here. But if that's not going to happen, I'm down to just stay the course. Like a lot of these teams have built through the draft. Atlanta built through the draft, and look at them right now; they look pretty good.
Definitely.
Golden State's the model. Golden State literally built their whole team through the draft, and they were almost a dynasty out there. So, I'm liking the way that they're set up right now. They were a good, solid team. Was I disappointed that they lost to the Hawks? Yeah, but I mean, everybody should also remember that nobody thought they'd be there. Everybody thought they were going to win 20 games this year and be a lottery team again, and they weren't. So, I like the direction they're going, and they finally have a good core group, a good coach that knows how to put them together and make them help them win. So hopefully there's another disgruntled superstar that they can go out and try to maybe coax to come here,
and they will. There's going to be a lot of trades this offseason. A lot.
Yeah. I just don't want to see them mortgage the entire future for one player.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And that's the thing too. Like, I've said on my show over the months, as the Knicks were, going through the season and improving and, pretty much shocking everybody, that Knicks fans have a tendency of always projecting. Oh, well, we get to the playoffs, we can be able to get to the next round, and maybe we can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe in an off year we can get to the finals. Like, just appreciate the journey.
Yep.
Because back in 2013, I don't think a lot of Knicks fans appreciated what they saw. Like, it was all about, okay, how do we stack up to the Miami Heat? Can we get to the Miami Heat? Can we do this? We're just as good as Miami. We can meet them up in the Eastern Conference Finals. You won 54 games. Melo was an MVP candidate. Just appreciate the journey a little bit.
I think the problem with that team though was you knew that it wasn't going to be able to continue.
It was a win now.
That was the literal definition of win now, because all the guys on that team were old. Like they were all literally on the back ends of their careers. This was their one last hurrah to try and make a run for a championship or make a run deep into the playoffs. So like, I think that was the kind of the big reason was that like all the Knicks fans were sitting there looking at it. All us Knicks fans were sitting there looking at it like, okay, well, there is no tomorrow for this team. Like this team has to win right now or we're going to be back at the bottom again. So that's why I think that came from, but I will agree with you. Like there are Knicks fans that get way too ahead of themselves saying, oh, we're winning a title this year. Like I know the Knicks fans I know there were Knicks fans saying that we were going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. I'm like, guys,
nuts.
Pump the brakes.
But hey, listen. These bizarro playoffs, who knows if they would have beat the Hawks if the Knicks wouldn't be here. Like we have no idea, but because all of these crazy things that have happened in the playoffs, maybe the Knicks would be in this situation. So, hey, for Knicks fans that were out there thinking like that, I can't say anything right now because these playoffs have been completely insane.
I agree. No, I agree with you. It's been absolutely insane because these guys are going down left and right. There's injury after injury. Yeah. Teams are looking weaker and weaker as the games go by. That's why. And also, I'd just like to just put out in the forefront, if the Phoenix Suns win the championship, I don't want to hear anybody saying there's an asterisk. I don't want to hear anybody saying it's a Fugazi championship because I saw a few people tweet that. I hate that word. I hate the term Fugazi. It's stupid.
Well, listen, I'm not gonna. I gotta be honest. I've used the word asterisk because I'm a bitter Laker fan. Because the thing is, when we won the championship in the bubble, everybody's like, it's a bubble champ. Nobody cares. So I always ask people, if the Miami Heat would have beat us in 5 games, would everybody be saying that about Miami? No. Right. No. So it's a Laker thing. Like, I get that. So now I'm jaded. If you want to talk about an asterisk, put it on this season because all these players are hurt. I don't care. Well,
I don't believe there's asterisks in sports.
There are none. Like absolutely none. Absolutely
if like when you go to Cooperstown and they ask you who the home run king is, there's no asterisk next to Barry Bonds' name.
Absolutely.
Barry Bonds is the home run king.
I agree with you.
So there really isn't. It happened. Like you can't change history. That happened.
And also to your point is that as a championship team, when you're going on your run, as good as you are, you need a little luck. Every championship team has had some luck in their run. So Phoenix got some luck in regards to a lot of injuries for the teams that they're playing. Okay, that's the hand that they were dealt. It's not their fault. So if they win a title because Giannis is not there and the Bucks get to the finals, then so be it. So it really doesn't matter. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, they were the more dominant team. They were the team that were able to stay healthy while everybody else was falling by the wayside.
Right. They survived.
They shouldn't be looked negatively on that. They should be looked positively. Like you guys did it right. You guys were able to stay together, stay healthy.
Right.
And maybe one. I'm not shipping them to win a title just yet, but I personally would like to see it because I'd like to see Chris Paul win a title before he goes.
Yeah, it's a great story, man. It's a great story if they're able to win the title. Listen, even if Milwaukee's a great story. The fact that you'll have 2 of these potential teams, Phoenix is already there, but if Milwaukee wins the next game, Milwaukee as a small market team being in the NBA Finals, that will tell people that that's the way you build. You don't have to do it like the Lakers. The Lakers do things their way. Like that's not the model. You can be able to build through the draft, build smartly, put the right pieces together and create your own dynasty. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You just have to have the smart minds to be able to execute that particular plan. And you have to run into some luck.
Agreed. Totally 100% agree with you.
Yeah. But that's a good thing. I like the fact that you said that there are no asterisks. What are your thoughts? And I'll ask you this last thing before I go into my rapid fire to end the interview. But what are your thoughts about the whole steroid era?
As a kid, when I was younger, I was all about taking them out of the game. They're cheaters, blah blah blah. But I don't personally think that the steroid era guys should get plaques in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Anybody
that tells you that these guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame have never been to the Hall of Fame because they're all there. Like all the cheaters, everybody. Mark McGuire's there. He might not have a plaque, but he's there. Sammy Sosa might not have a plaque, but he's there. Barry Bonds might not have a plaque, but he's there. I think that the Baseball Hall of Fame is supposed to be a museum for baseball, and I get that. But I think your plaque in the Hall of the Greats of the Game, that's an honor. that right there, that's not a history thing. That is an honor and a privilege to be put in the hall.
Okay.
The rest of the Hall of Fame's a museum. If you want to put Barry Bonds there and say he's the home run king, go right ahead. But I personally, as far as having your day in Cooperstown, having the plaque and everything, I'm okay with them keeping them out. I'm okay with them saying, no, you don't get a plaque, because they're in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds is there. I bet you Barry Bonds' bat when he hit the home run is there. Mark McGwire, like I said, Mark McGwire's there. Clemens is there. Like all these guys that are steroid guys, they're in the Hall of Fame. They're there already, you know, like, so I don't necessarily think you should reward them by giving them their day and plaque because they did technically cheat the game. But, you know, if they decide to put them in, I won't fault them for it, you know, because I understand, I do understand the argument of it's a museum for the game. So you have to acknowledge all eras. So I get it, you know?
Yeah, I hear that point. I think I'm on the other side of it because it's just that the way I look at baseball is that they behave so holier than thou, right? Yeah. When they're the dirtiest sport in our history. There's no other sport that has more controversy than baseball. And for me, it's like, it's just very hypocritical in my opinion. Like when I think about, because I always remember the strike of 94. Always remember that. There's no World Series. And that was awful. Yeah. In regards to people who love baseball, to not have the World Series was like, all right, you might as well just shoot me now. Because what am I going to do? Like, there's no World Series. There's no baseball. What's going on? The home run chase or the home run summer of 98 brought people back. And I don't want anybody to tell me that Mr. Selig didn't know that these guys were just a little juicy. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you allowed them to put your sport on the forefront of the world. Baseball, there was no sport hotter than baseball in the summer of 98. No sport. And they resurrected the game, made tons of money in that time, got baseball back. And then all of a sudden, now it's like, oh, well, yeah, these guys they did steroids. We got to shun them. It's like, I don't like the whole dirty aspect of it. It just makes me feel like it's just dirty business. Okay, you accepted it because it got your sport back. But once the sport got back, then you threw these guys in the garbage. So it's just, you know, it's just, to me, it's that these guys are baseball players. I believe that they should be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, I just, that's just my opinion. You know, whether people agree with it or not, it's fine. You know, this is something that can always be debated and discussed, but that's just my opinion. These are great players that should, I believe that Barry Bonds, more than Sosa, more than McGwire, I don't think that Sosa's a Hall of Famer, but Barry Bonds, that's a Hall of Fame guy. The numbers that he put up even before the PEDs, Hall of Fame guy. So, you know, to look at him and say that he doesn't belong, I just don't like that.
I agree. No, and again, I can't like, I really don't have an argument to dispute you on that. You know, like I can totally respect and understand the feeling that you should put these guys in the Hall of Fame because it's a part of baseball. You know, baseball did have a hand in all these guys doing roids. Like I totally respect that. It's just personally, I just look at it from, and Bonds probably has the best case out of all of them.
Yes.
You know, just because of the career he had before the steroids and everything like that, or whenever you want to try and pinpoint when he did start doing them.
Right.
But, you know, if you're also going to if you're going to come from the realm of saying that, you know, they did technically cheat the game, yada, 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 we shouldn't put them in. I can't fault you either because, again, they're in the Hall of Fame. These players will not be forgotten because their names, their memorabilia, their milestones, they are in the, I've been there, they're in the Hall of Fame.
And you make a great point. You definitely make a great point.
So they're not going to be they're not written off and forgotten about in baseball.
Right.
It's just, I feel like the plaques, the bronze plaques that get put up, I personally feel like that is that's the honor portion of the Hall of Fame. Like that's where you go to be enshrined forever. You know, it's the, you know, that's the privilege part of being in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
That's fair.
Everybody else, you're still there.
Yeah.
You're all still there, you know, like, but again, it's all like, you know, if they put Barry Bonds in or anything like that, I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Right.
Like I'm not going to be beating the drum like, oh, this is wrong, I'm never going to the Hall of Fame again.
Right.
No, I'm not going to be saying, oh, put an asterisk. He did steroids. No, if he's going in, put his plaque up, and we're good.
I respect that. I respect your take. I respect your point, and I respect how you go about it. I wish more people were objective like that instead of going the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's about listening to both sides, and if you agree, that's fine. If you disagree, at least you have reasons why, and you have your stance, you have your take, and I like that about that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why this is a good, healthy conversation. A lot of times when people have conversations about the steroids, it's not healthy because people are so hell-bent on just trying to say, no, you're wrong. It's like, it's no wrong. It's my opinion. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I feel, and this is what I believe should happen. If you don't agree, then that's fine.
People need to understand something. We're not talking about like this is I live, like I said, you're just like me. I live and die by my sports. Like literally, like I said in the beginning of this interview, like sports affect my well-being a lot more than they absolutely should.
Makes my week miserable, like you said, right?
Exactly. But what you have to understand is we're not talking about life or death.
Right.
We're not talking about anything more than an entertainment product that you just love to sit down and just watch. You know, this isn't a major issue. If they, you know, like if they put Barry Bonds or any of these steroid guys in the Hall of Fame, they're not murdering anybody. Like there's like, this isn't again, nobody's losing their life. Nobody's getting maimed. Like nothing bad is happening. All they're doing is making a bronze plaque of somebody and hanging it up in a museum. Like that's all we're talking about here. You know, like it's all entertainment. There's no reason anybody should get all heated and hate filled talking about a baseball Hall of Fame. You know, like
I agree.
Sure, you could have an opinion like mine where you don't necessarily want to see them put in. Again, I'll understand if you do, and I'll be more than happy to go see the Hall of Fame if they do. They could have opinions like yours where put them in. It's a baseball knew what they were doing. Baseball knew that they had a hand in it. Put them in because they're part of the history of the game.
Right.
Baseball is the reason, not the reason they did steroids, but baseball knew what was going on. So you have to put them in because there was no real policing at that point.
Right.
I get that. You know, like this should never be a thing where people are, you know, freaking out, flipping chairs and tables. Like it's not that big a deal.
And
it's really not that big a deal.
And yet it happens all the time.
All the time.
Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So last segment, Tom, before we get out of here, man, I appreciate you being on the show. This was a lot of fun. I like to do rapid fire with my guests where I spit out some names and you tell me who's better than who. I'm not going to dispute you. This is your opinion. This is not something I'm like, oh, you're crazy. I'm just going to say, okay, that's fine. And we'll move on to the next. All right. So better super soldier, Bucky or Captain America?
Oh, Cap. I'm never going to not say Cap. I freaking love Captain America. It's always going to be Cap.
I'm with you. Better no power superhero, Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne?
I'm saying Bruce Wayne because he's the ultimate detective.
That's fair. Okay. Who would you rather have, Spider-Man or Venom?
Spider-Man. I love Venom's like my I love Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man and Venom as a tandem, but Spider-Man hands down.
Nice.
He's a Mets fan from Queens.
Right. And if you're from Queens, you're cool with me. All right, let me see. Let's go to baseball.
Okay.
Better pitcher, Pedro Martinez or Jacob deGrom?
DeGrom, and it's not even DeGrom's Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher I have ever seen in my entire life.
That's fair, man. That's fair. Yeah. That's why I put Pedro out there, because Pedro was the gold standard to me, man. That guy was special.
I love Pedro Martinez. I know he was okay when he came to the Mets later on, but Jacob deGrom is just, anytime you get put in the same conversation as Bob Gibson or Tom Seaver,
right? You're doing elite company. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're in elite company. Like I can't believe that I get to watch him every fifth day. Like
He's
that's
amazing, man. He
really is.
And to be a guy that failed at shortstop and look what he is now. It's just it's crazy.
Exactly.
It's completely crazy. Who would you rather have, Ken Griffey or Barry Bonds?
See, this is going to contradict what I was saying before. I'm going to say Barry because Ken Griffey Jr. had to deal with way too many injuries in his career.
Right.
He would have been Barry Bonds had he not gotten hurt as much as he did.
I think Griffey would have probably hit 800 home runs if you stay healthy.
Probably. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yeah, because he ended up having those really bad 4 years in Cincinnati and still ended up hitting 630 home runs.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
He's unreal. He's literally like when everybody says that, when everybody keeps putting up that picture of them changing the MLB logo to Griffey with his hat backwards, like in his swing.
Right.
That's the only person that I could ever imagine taking that spot. Absolutely. It's Ken Griffey Jr.
And listen, guys, if you haven't watched his documentary, Junior, watch it. Like it is amazing. Like I was literally watching that documentary and I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, this is why I grew up loving baseball. This guy right here is what drew me into baseball. So, it's always good to see. Like, I'm with you. If I would have picked that, pick between the two, I'm a Griffey guy, but I was also a Bonds guy. I will go Bonds as well because Bonds was just a different animal.
He was insane. He was an animal.
Special.
Yeah.
I've never seen a guy with that quick of a compact swing ever. So, it's amazing. Okay. Who would you rather have? This may be a good one. Mike Trout or Miguel Cabrera?
Mike Trout, just because I think he's the better all-around player.
Okay.
I think he's the complete package. Miguel Cabrera is an amazing hitter.
Yeah.
But I think Mike Trout's an amazing hitter and an amazing just all-around baseball player.
Definitely. Who would you rather have in regard favorite Met between these two? Mike Piazza or David Wright? I'm
saying Mike Piazza because that's why he was my guy when I first started watching baseball. So I got to say it's Mike Piazza.
I'm with you, man. I'm a David Wright guy, but Piazza, he made Shea Stadium special to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I remember he hit a home run. I can't remember against what team. I was there and the place was shaking and I was like, what the hell is going on here? I never thought that a ballpark can shake like that. And it was amazing. It was just one of the best feelings that I've ever had as a kid.
The 9/11 home run to dead center field brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, man.
Every time.
Special. Very, very special. Very special. Okay. Moving on to football. Better quarterback, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady?
I get into an argument with one of my friends about this all the time. I'm saying Tom Brady because Tom Brady, I think Tom Brady won with less and is the most successful quarterback I have ever seen in my entire life. I fully support that he is the GOAT of all GOATs in the NFL.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. Let's see. Better running back, Edgerrin James, Curtis Martin, or your boy, Tiki Barber?
Ooh, man.
It's a good one.
That is a really good one. I'm going to say Edgerrin James because I think Tiki was good, but Tiki wasn't on Tiki. I think Tiki's got the 2000 Super Bowl, and that's really it. And then the Giants kind of fell off after that. So I'm gonna say Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James was damn good.
Edgerrin James was special, man. Yeah, I grew up a Jets fan before I turned in my Jet colors and became a Cowboys fan. But I love Curtis Martin. I think Curtis Martin was a special running back. But I loved Edgerrin James.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another tough one. Better running back, Marshall Faulk or LaDainian Tomlinson?
I'm gonna say Marshall Faulk. That dude did not fumble. That dude had freaking hands of like stone. Like he literally like you put the ball in his hand and he was not letting it go.
Right.
LT was good though.
LT was definitely good, but I'm a Faulk guy. Let's see. Trying to think of an interesting. Oh, better quarterback, Kurt Warner or Dan Marino?
Dan Marino gets he gets put into the conversation of like the greatest ever step on a football field. Kurt Warner was good, and I will give him the greatest show on turf, great and all. But Dan Marino, it's criminal that Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, man, he got to that '83 Super Bowl and never got back. Like, it was just, it's crazy to think that or maybe I'm getting the years mixed up. I don't know. I think it was '83 or one of those years. But the fact that he never got back there, it was just. It just shows you how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, it's not guaranteed no matter how great you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Going on to basketball now. This is some history stuff. Better shooter. Who would you rather have? Reggie Miller or Ray Allen?
I'm going to say Ray Allen just because in my basketball knowledge, my minimal basketball knowledge, I just remember Ray Allen being an absolute beast, especially with the Celtics and then again with the Heat. So like, you know, I'm going Ray Allen.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Who would you rather have as a point guard? Steph Curry or Allen Iverson?
Jeez. Again, I'm going to say I love Allen Iverson. I'm going to still say Steph because Steph Curry, especially in a league where you need to be able to shoot 3-pointers. I'm always going to take the guy that could just easily make a half-court shot whenever he feels like it. You know, like Steph Curry is probably the best shooter I've ever seen in my life.
He could just pull up from 50. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It's completely ridiculous. That's a good one. Okay, let's see. Last one. What movie would you rather watch? Endgame or Return of the Jedi?
Jeez. Wow. I'm gonna say
both culminations, both very good.
I'm saying Endgame. Endgame was amazing.
You're going Endgame?
Like, yeah, the scene where Cap pulls the Thor's hammer.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Nah, I'm going Endgame.
And listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. I watched that movie in the movie theater, and I remember the scene where Cap is fighting Thanos, and you know, I have this feeling that Thanos is going to kill Cap. I walk out of the theater. I said, I can't see this. I'm not watching this. I got to go, right? So I have to get called back in, and then all you hear is on your left, and then everybody comes. I'm like, oh, they coming back. Like, but I was like very, very emotional. I thought Cap was going to go down. I didn't like it. I had to walk out.
I'm totally with you, dude. It was the second he pulls in Thor's hammer, I'm like, let's go. Cause I've been waiting for this like freaking like since the event, since he like moved it. Like, I think it was in the first Avengers movie or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, he's going to pick this up.
Right.
At some point he's picking this up, and it finally happened. I lost my mind.
That's good, man. Well, listen, this was fun, Tom. Like, thank you for coming on the show, man. It was really, really a good time. I appreciate it. Like, we were definitely on this for like over 2 hours, and that just goes to show you how good of a conversation we were having. So I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, man.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Like I'm all about, I'm all about podcasting. I'm all about just collabing with really awesome people that are just putting some really awesome shows together. So no, again, I thank you so much for allowing me to come on, dude. I very much appreciate it.
Definitely, man. So, before we go out, you can just be able to tell people about your social media handles and what you got going on in the future as well.
Oh yeah. So, social media, like I said earlier, it's at It's Mr. Greer everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I don't really post a lot on my Facebook. It's Mr. Greer page, but I do have it there.
Okay.
On Clubhouse. I think I'm at It's Mr. Greer, or it's definitely at It's Mr. Greer there. And as far as coming up, tune into our shows every week. I got the Grindhouse Radio every Thursday. Anywhere you can find a podcast, the Magic Kim Tom, my Disney show with Kim from the Grindhouse Radio. And my girl, she is my girlfriend. I probably should say that.
Nice.
No, yeah, I can't let her listen to this and have me
shouts
not
the
say
kid,
that.
right? She will put you in the doghouse.
Yeah, she will. We do our Disney show, and that comes out every Monday. Every Wednesday, I do Truly Inconsequential. I mentioned earlier in the show. I have some voiceover stuff that's in the works.
Awesome.
That should be coming out soon. And like I said, also my sports show that I do today with DW, the Sports Edition, on the Earplug Podcast Network Facebook page every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7, or no, from 6:30 to 7:30 or 6 to 7. It's one of those. I just get my times mixed up. Everything runs together now.
Right.
But that's everywhere you can find me and all. That's all I got coming up right now.
Definitely, man. Like I said, man, check him out. He's amazing. He got a lot of stuff going on. Multi-talented guy. Tom Greer, I appreciate you again coming on the show, man.
I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
I'd like to thank my man Tom Greer for coming on the show. Definitely lots of fun. You know, he knows his stuff, so shouts out to the Grindhouse radio team, everybody over there. Keep doing your thing. Y'all are killing Long Island right now. Coming up after the break, the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week. On a Saturday. It's All Even.
This is 𝐤𝐤𝐬𝐤. Just want to give a shout out to All Even Podcast, the best sports podcast out there. Keep up the amazing work. Also check us out at 𝐤𝐤𝐬𝐤.com. We're everyday apparel for cigar smokers. Let's get it.
What's going on? What's up with you? It's your boy, the Candyman, the ALFRE to the D. It's your boy, Alfred from the Rap Lab Podcast.
And it's the one and only True G. Just call me the QG from the Rap Lab Podcast.
And you tuned in to All Even with Barry Grant.
Boy, that shit crazy.
Welcome back, y'all. So without further ado, the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week.
Dummy, yeah.
We pick candidates on Tuesday and Saturday, and then we pick the winner on that Saturday show. So, who is my winner for Dummy of the Week? May I have the drum roll, please? And the winner is Patrick Beverley, point guard, cheerleader for the Los Angeles Clippers. Patrick Beverley is my winner for
Dummy, yeah.
because did you think that I was going to allow him to get away with this? Did you think I was going to allow this man to not be Dummy of the Week? Let's go ahead and just think about this, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Patrick Beverley is supposed to be one of the great defenders in our league. Talks a lot, talks trash, does what he wants to do, is very abrasive. So he takes on the challenge of trying to guard Chris Paul in game 6. And what happens? What happens? Not only do the Clippers lose, they don't get the chance to get to the finals, but Chris Paul gives Patrick Beverley the business. Gives him work, 41 points, and jaw-jacking him. Talking smack, making him look crazy. Patrick Beverley's in his feelings. He talking back, but it don't matter. If you're talking to the guy that's giving you business on the court, that really don't make sense. But it gets better. So Chris Paul is cooking him. He walks by Patrick Beverley after the timeout. Pat Bev turns around and two-hand shoves him in the back. Two-hand shoves him in the back. Like this is like rec ball or playing in the park. This kind of reminds me when I used to play in Brookville Park or Woodmere Park, and some bum used to get mad that they was getting worked like a part-time job, and they be in their feelings. Either they foul hard the next play, or they want to hold the ball and have an argument. That's what Pat Bev did. But wait, it gets even better. He apologizes, right? He takes to Twitter and apologizes and says, hey, man, you know, definitely things got heated out there. My bad, bro. It wasn't for you. Good luck in the finals. What? What? It wasn't for you. So you two-hand shoved the guy that he wasn't the target? So who were you talking about? So you got cooked. You target the wrong person, allegedly. And then you have this terrible apology. I'm telling you, man. Court gesture at its finest. Court gesture at its finest. Cheerleader at his finest. I'm sure after the game, nobody looked his direction. You probably heard some scoffs, some of that towards the end of the locker room, because you get cooked like that and then embarrass yourself on national TV. That's like you claim to be a street fighter, but every time you in the street and you have a fight, you get your ass beat. Get him out of here, man. Get him out of here. Send those Clippers back where they belong. Back to the basement. Get your dehumidifiers, your space heaters, your first down jackets. That's where you belong. And you can also be the court gesture. Make your teammates laugh. talk tough and say, all right. Nobody believes you anymore, Pat. Not after this. Not after you allow a 35-year-old man to cook you like that in your own building. Give it up. Just stop. So Patrick Beverley, you must have been very, very upset to go back to the basement. And I don't blame you. And sure you lost the game. Sure, you're a loser right now. But you're a winner. You're a winner to me for Dummy of the Week. That's all for this show. That's all for this week. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe. Stay cool. Peace. You can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at All Even Podcast. Listen to the show on Podbeam, Amazon Music, Spotify, and wherever you find your podcasts available. And check out my YouTube channel, All Even Podcast. And don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button.